Chapter 132. Speaking of trust, Wang Sheng's butcher shop was also an exception, because Wang Sheng was a newcomer and he was the target of public criticism. It was impossible for Wang Sheng to do anything to the meat he sold. But even so, most of the time, only some of the essence of Wang Sheng's meat could be sold. Some of the heads, hooves, claws, internal organs, and water of the demon beast that were purchased would also be left behind. Anyway, these things could not be sold, so he simply used them to make some dishes with wine first. At the thought of eating kebabs and drinking some braised food with his comrades on Earth, Wang Sheng's mouth was now drooling. Wang Sheng found that when he thought of this, he couldn't help but drool. One could imagine what kind of life he had been living during this period. It could be described as a bird that came out of his mouth. It was not that he didn't eat meat, but that he didn't eat good food. Wang Sheng jumped out of the bathtub, quickly wiped his body, put on his clothes, and went straight to the assassin's hall. Along the way in the inner city, the little man with combat awareness would constantly warn in all directions. This clearly showed that there were indeed enough masters stationed in the inner city. Of course, this could only be used in the place of despair. As soon as he crossed the red line on the street, the little man with combat awareness immediately seemed to become blind. He came to the assassin's hall because Bao Qing Yu Tang and the Imperial Treasure House were here. Wang Sheng rushed straight into Bao Qing Yu Hall, greeted the shopkeeper, and told him his new address in the inner city. Then, he asked the shopkeeper to prepare a set of all kinds of seasonings and bring it for him. It was the same in the Imperial Treasure House. He also needed a variety of seasonings. This time, LV Wenho did not appear. Only Ling Er appeared. She angrily threw the things that Wang Sheng wanted in front of him, did not talk about money, and directly turned around and left. Some blended noodles were not enough to make the Imperial Treasure House fall into the eyes of money. However, Wang Sheng was very dissatisfied. Even with the two largest trading companies combined, Wang Sheng could not find a seasoning that he wanted the most. Forget it. I won't lower myself to the level of these ignorant people. Thinking that he didn't have any good wine, he deliberately left a few gold coins and asked the Imperial Treasure House and Bao Qing Yu Tang to send a few jars to his new residence. Both families had sent some vegetables that they usually ate, so that the meat and vegetables would be a reasonable combination. If he wanted to eat good food, he had to find his own way. Wang Sheng first went to the medicine shop and pondered for a long time. Finally, he found a batch of things he wanted. These days, there were more spices and seasonings in medicine shops than in restaurants. There was a stove in the new house, but there was no wok. Wang Sheng prepared for a rainy day and went to a blacksmith shop to order a set. From a wok to a steamer to a hot pot, from a rice spatula to a ladle to an iron skewer, he ordered everything he could think of. In the end, Wang Sheng called out to pay the bill, and the blacksmith immediately handed over 500 gold coins to Wang Sheng with both hands, shocking even Wang Sheng himself. It was the story of the carpenter who made the rocking chair that spread throughout the city. Now, there were countless craftsmen in Carefree City waiting for Wang Sheng to order things that he didn't have before. The degree of eagerness was simply looking forward to it. Today, the blacksmith of the blacksmith shop laughed so hard that his face was swollen. Sitting at home, fortune came from the heavens. Wang Sheng actually came to his shop to order things. Needless to say, there would definitely be a lot of orders coming from behind. The 500 gold coins was because the blacksmith shop owner didn't have enough gold coins today. Otherwise, he would have directly taken out 1,000 gold coins. Wang Sheng nearly jumped in fright at the commotion. Only then did he realize what was going on. It turned out that everyone regarded him as a cornucopia and were willing to give him money. But this was also good. Wang Sheng didn't argue. Anyway, he had ordered a set, and in a few days, there would definitely be a batch of orders from this blacksmith shop, so he had a clear conscience. As soon as Wang Sheng left, a few people immediately went into the blacksmith shop. Without saying anything, they also wanted to order a set of the things that Wang Sheng ordered. The medicine shop was still fine. After all, everyone knew that Wang Sheng needed to recuperate, so it was normal to buy medicine. But the items in the blacksmith shop were not ordinary. Although they didn't know what it was just by looking at the rocking chair, they knew that it was definitely not bad. Returning home with a large bag of seasoning, Wang Sheng began to prepare. Fortunately, in this world, as long as there was spiritual energy, the meat of demonic beasts wouldn't rot. The housekeeper had already sent over the leftovers that Wang Sheng sold. The house had been taken over, but as long as the things inside belonged to Wang Sheng, they would be sent over to him. Those custom-made things had not arrived yet, but there was already a big pot here. Let's braise it first. There were more than 20 demon pheasant claws, demon pheasant gizzards, fanged swine hooves, demon beast stomachs, demon beast intestines, demon bird necks. There were a lot of demon pheasant claws, demon pheasant gizzards, demon pheasant gizzards, demon pheasant gizzards, demon pheasant gizzards, demon pheasant necks. After adding water to boil, he poured out the water from the first pot and continued. Wrapped in linen cloth, the various seasonings that Wang Sheng had mixed together were thrown into the pot and boiled. Then, he took out some firewood and simmered slowly. Of course, the most important salt was definitely the fine salt that Wang Sheng filtered himself, and not the coarse salt of this world. The seasonings weren't very complete, but they weren't lacking by much. Of course, the taste couldn't be compared to the century-old brands in his previous life, but there was no need to be so particular when eating at home. As long as the meaning was there, it was enough. Not long after, the two waiters sent over the wine and vegetables. He picked a few types of vegetables and washed them. After blanching them in hot water and cooling water and mixing them with a few small seasonings, it was a refreshing cold dish. Now, all that was left was to wait for the braised food to be served. For the sake of this delicious meal, Wang Sheng didn't even eat lunch. He only picked a few cold dishes and ate a few mouthfuls. He was waiting for the braised food to be tasty enough to eat at night. On the other side, Wang Sheng looked at the fire and added firewood. At the same time, he smelled the steam coming out of the pot through the cracks of the lid. Little did he know that the strong smell of steam had already spread to more than one house. Almost half of the houses on the street could smell it. The people who lived in the inner city of Worry-Free City were all experts. It could even be said that they were all experts who killed without batting an eye. If it was killing people or demonic beasts, 100 of Wang Sheng might not be a match for any one of them. But if it was cooking, 100 of these experts couldn't even compare to one of Wang Sheng's little fingers. The earth that Wang Sheng came from, especially the Earth's China, was simply the home of delicious food. It was a country that lived on the tip of the tongue. Even if Wang Sheng hadn't tasted the delicacies cooked by top chefs before, he had at least seen their skills on television. Moreover, when Wang Sheng was in the army, helping out in the kitchen was a test that all soldiers had to go through. Simple and basic culinary skills were also a skill that all soldiers had to master. Fresh seasonings, fresh cooking methods that no one had ever thought of before. The result was that half of the high-level assassins on the street were salivating at the aroma. They couldn't wait to rush up and snatch the delicious food away. Chapter 133. Even Wang Sheng himself was drooling as he added firewood. One could imagine the taste of the experts who smelled this. Were there no top chefs in this world? Yes. Were there any in Carefree City? Yes, but only in the city lord's manor. No matter if it was the assassins in the inner city or the outer city, there were very few who ate outside. Needless to say, the outer city was not safe, and no one dared to eat food made by people they did not trust. The inner city was safer, but those experts sometimes did not trust, and sometimes they were not willing. So 9 out of 10 people would cook their own food. Naturally, this level could be completely ignored. Suddenly on this day, the streets were filled with fragrance, and it was a fragrance that no one had smelled before. It was simply killing people. Wang Sheng smelled the steam that had not been simmered for enough time, and the little dragons in his source spirit space were jumping like a group of perverts who had seen a naked beauty. Just from this feeling, Wang Sheng understood that his guess was correct. Only he did not know how much delicious food he had to cook or eat before there would be a qualitative change. Ever since Wang Sheng began bathing in the morning, the expert neighbor who had been eavesdropping on Wang Sheng's movements was currently holding a wine glass, smelling the fragrance in the air as a side dish to go with the wine. Even though he kept a mouthful of the wine, he was unable to suppress the fire that was rising from his throat. Letting a person who was drinking on an empty stomach smell this delicious food was simply torture. Little friend, are you new here? Wang Xing opened the lid and used his chopsticks to poke the meat inside to see if it was soft or not, when he suddenly heard a familiar voice. I am your neighbor. Let's get to know each other. The voice came from the direction of the courtyard where the seventh stage realm expert lived. Wang Xing covered the lid and walked out of the kitchen to take a look, immediately seeing a familiar person. The old eunuch who represented the royal family was currently standing on top of the wall with his eyes closed and his nose twitching exaggeratedly, as if he wanted to suck in all the delicious food in the air into his nostrils. Greetings, senior. Wang Xing greeted the eunuch flawlessly, then asked the old eunuch to jump down and invited him to sit by the stone table in the courtyard. The old eunuch was obviously pretending not to know Wang Xing. Of course, Wang Xing would not be stupid enough to take the initiative to expose him. He pretended to receive him warmly. This old eunuch was truly resourceful. He had actually been living in the inner city of Carefree City all this while. What surprised Wang Xing even more was that he actually lived next door to his new house. It seemed that he would have to sleep with one eye open in the future. What's that smell? It's actually like this. The old eunuch did not pretend to be polite. After sitting down, he directly asked Wang Xing. After thinking for a long time, he still could not come up with an adjective. In the end, he finally used the word peculiar to describe it. So, peculiar? Oh. Looking at the old eunuch's greedy expression, Wang Xing could not help but laugh. He replied with a smile, there are some leftover scraps from the butcher's shop. It would be a pity to throw them away, so I made a pot of them myself. The old eunuch seemed to be unable to bear it any longer as he continuously sniffled. While laughing, Wang Xing said, a distant relative is not as good as a close neighbor. Senior is a neighbor, and this junior is a newcomer, so there's nothing for me to show respect to. It just so happens that this junior has personally made something to eat. It will be ready in a while. I hope that senior can have a taste. How can I miss out on a meal with a neighbor? The moment Wang Xing's words fell, before the old eunuch could reply, another person's voice came from the other side of the wall. Just as the voice rang out, a figure flashed by Wang Xing's side. He did not look as old as the old eunuch, but he seemed to be in his 40s or 50s. His movement technique was very fast. With his eyesight, Wang Xing could only see him appear and land beside him, but he did not see the process clearly. However, the old eunuch seemed to have dealt with this middle-aged fellow before. Seeing him appear, he only nodded lightly. You also came? This smell is too evil. The middle-aged expert frowned and replied with some distress, I can't help it. Neither of them understood why the smell in Wang Xing's place was so fragrant. Wang Xing found it strange. Logically speaking, the old eunuch was a member of the royal family, so he should have tasted the cooking of the royal chef many times. No matter what, he shouldn't be acting so bad, right? But now, the old eunuch had taken the initiative to appear, and he actually looked like a country bumpkin who had not eaten good food before. Perhaps it was a disguise, or perhaps it was to tell him that he lived next door. Wang Xing thought of this in his heart. He gestured for the two experts to sit down and prepared good wine and side dishes for them. He then went to take care of the pot of braised meat. It had been stewing for more than 3 hours. Wang Xing poked it with his chopsticks. The meat was already very soft, and it was almost done. Wang Xing took out the firewood from the stove and extinguished the fire. Then, he scooped a large pot of messy braised meat and carried it out. Smelling the aroma, the old eunuch and the middle-aged expert coveted it very much. But when they saw it, they did not dare to believe their eyes. These things, the pot of animal heads, hooves, skin, claws, and internal organs looked really unappetizing. In the past, these things were all thrown away. How could the two of them eat them? But why did it smell so fragrant? My skills are rough. Seniors, please forgive me. Wang Xing, on the other hand, had not enjoyed it for a long time. He served it politely and grabbed a braised pheasant claw. He did not care if it was hot or not, and opened his mouth to eat. It was not that Wang Xing did not know how to treat his guests. He ate first to let the two rest assured. This thing was right. Wang Xing ate it himself, which meant that there was nothing harmful in it. That was all. After taking a bite, Wang Sheng frowned slightly. It had just come out of the pot. It was too soft. The pheasant claw was fine. If it was fanged and hooves, it would be too soft. There would be no bite, and the taste would not be good. Unfortunately, there was no refrigerator in this world. If it was slightly chilled, it would be more chewy, and it would be more chewy when eaten. What a pity! Wang Sheng took a bite and sighed. The taste is so, but the texture is not good. If only it could be slightly chilled. The old eunuch and the middle-aged expert were relieved when they saw Wang Sheng eat without any scruples. Hearing Wang Sheng say this, the middle-aged expert immediately asked, "How cold is it?" "It's not to the extent of freezing, but it can make the skin firm." As Wang Sheng spoke, he reached out and picked out some things that needed to be slightly chilled. He placed them in another pot and pointed at the remaining ones. "Eat these first. The rest can be eaten after they cool down. There's no need to go through so much trouble," the middle-aged expert replied casually. He then reached out and struck the pile of food that Wang Sheng took out with his palm. An ice-cold aura was emitted from the middle-aged expert's palm. In an instant, the steaming hot braised food became ice-cold. The technique of control was just right. It did not freeze, but it met Wang Sheng's requirements. "Seniors, please." Wang Sheng did not say anything else. He opened the wine jar and poured wine for the two of them. He greeted them warmly. Chapter 134. Wang Sheng took the lead to eat and drink. They were all meat from the same pot and wine from the same wine jar. With Wang Sheng's cultivation, it was impossible for him to play any tricks in front of these two. Therefore, the two of them quickly let down their guard and began to eat and drink to their heart's content. And this is delicious. The old eunuch's mouth was full of meat, but he didn't forget to take a bite of the chicken feet and still want to talk. He had completely thrown away the demeanor cultivated by the royal family. The semi-experienced expert wasn't much better. With a mouth full of meat and a big gulp of wine, he didn't even use chopsticks and directly grabbed the meat with his hands. The two experts couldn't be blamed for being so ungentlemanly. It was really because the food that Wang Sheng made this time was too delicious. In the past, people would directly throw away these things like hoof claws and intestines. No one ate them at all. Looking at those raw things made people feel disgusted. Who would think about how to cook them? They never thought about it. These things that people didn't pay attention to after being made by Wang Sheng really became delicacies that couldn't be thrown away. Especially on such a lukewarm day when sitting in the courtyard and drinking wine to cool off the summer heat, it was simply the best side dish to go with wine. Speaking of which, except for the internal organs and intestines, the other things always had more bones and less meat, so it wasn't refreshing to eat. But when drinking wine, it was precisely this kind of refreshing feeling. Taking a bite and drinking a mouthful, coupled with the fresh and delicious taste that they had never tasted before, these days were simply going to be like heaven. Both of them were experts. No matter how much they drank, they could use spiritual energy to force the alcohol out, so they didn't need to worry about getting drunk at all. Eating and drinking to their heart's content, there was actually a kind of carefree feeling. The basin that Wang Sheng made at the beginning wasn't enough at all. After eating, he immediately scooped more from the pot. Wang Sheng picked out the parts that needed to be treated coldly. Without Wang Sheng asking, the semi-experienced expert would take the initiative to serve it. Wang Sheng only needed to cut and chop a little. He didn't care about how it looked, as long as it was edible. Unknowingly, more than half a pot of braised food, which was enough to feed a dozen burly men like Wang Sheng, had been completely devoured by the three of them. Wang Sheng was really full as he burped with his stomach, feeling the little cheese excited jump in his source spirit space. He was filled with indescribable happiness. The two old men weren't any better. Speaking of which, the two of them ate more than Wang Sheng. Looking at their skinny bodies, Wang Sheng couldn't even imagine where they put all the food they ate and drank. The three of them drank a jar of good wine, but these two old men didn't even go to the toilet. Experts were indeed experts. Delicious. The semi-experienced expert rubbed his belly, smacked his lips, and gave his evaluation. Looking at the pile of bones on the table, the semi-veteran expert felt a little embarrassed. Yes, the food is unique. The old eunuch might have eaten good food in the imperial palace, so he only gave a unique evaluation. However, he could only sit and not stand up, which explained many problems. Wang Sheng used the dagger he had used to cut the meat for the two of them to pick his teeth, but the two of them turned a blind eye to this. Hearing their evaluation, Wang Sheng bared his teeth and said in an apologetic tone, "There's nothing we can do about it. Today's first pot isn't tasty enough. Once it's boiled into soup, the taste will become even better." Hearing Wang Sheng say that the soup would become even better, the old eunuch and the semi-veteran expert's eyes lit up. There was something even better? The braised food is only this much. Wang Sheng didn't care about their gazes as he said, "I don't have enough tools, so I can only make some braised food today. When the things I ordered from a blacksmith arrive, I'll treat you to something even better." "Good, Brad." The semi-veteran expert was delighted. "Just based on what you said, in the future, if anyone dares to bully you in Worry-Free City, just use my name and say that you're under my protection. Let's see who dares to not give you face." The semi-veteran expert called himself Icely, which was probably related to his ability to emit cold air. But it was also good. At least Wang Sheng didn't have to call him semi-veteran expert. "All right." Wang Sheng patted his chest, as if he had promised to protect them. "No problem. If anyone dares to make a fuss, I'll let him have a chat with you." "Me too." The old eunuch didn't dare to fall behind. At least he couldn't show his bad side. "If anyone is dissatisfied, just tell him that the Shadow of Worry-Free City will talk to him." The Shadow. This sounded like a code name, similar to Wang Sheng's lone wolf. However, Wang Sheng firmly believed that the Shadow's reputation must be very resounding. Although Wang Sheng himself didn't know, to be able to stay in the inner city, the housekeeper personally said that he was a 7th-degree realm expert and also shouldered the secret mission of the royal family. The old eunuch's strength was definitely enough to make many people tremble in fear. This was definitely because the two of them had eaten and drunk to their heart's content. Of course, Wang Sheng wasn't so naive to think that it was that simple, but since the two of them had said this, at least for a period of time, Wang Sheng really didn't have to worry about other people being in danger. Of course, it was impossible to sit back and relax, because the biggest danger was probably the Shadow old eunuch and Ice old Manly. In the dead of the night, the two experts had already gone back, leaving only Wang Sheng alone in the courtyard. Wang Sheng diligently cleaned up the cutlery and the pile of bones outside. After that, he washed up and lay down on the bed. Only when he was lying down could Wang Sheng feel at ease to check his soul space. He couldn't show the slightest abnormality. Even if he was in the inner city of Worry-Free City, he couldn't let his guard down. Wang Sheng's guess was right. When his consciousness was immersed in the soul space, Wang Sheng found that the little Qi Wen's excitement had reached a certain level, waiting for him to feed them. Feed what? Wang Sheng pondered for a long time, then made up his mind and simply visualized the things he had eaten today in the soul space. Every time he visualized something and built it with his spiritual energy, a little Qi Wen jumped out and swallowed it. Then he saw the little Qi Wen that had swallowed the food flew to the side of the giant rock, bit off a piece that was twice the size of the other Qi Wen, and swallowed it in one gulp. The little Qi Wen's body also grew with the food and the big pieces, and in a short while, it was 20% bigger than the surrounding ones. Seeing this scene, Wang Sheng was relieved and began to concentrate on building the same food. But the strange thing was, no little Qi Wen was interested in the same food. So Wang Sheng had another understanding. He needed more kinds of food. Visualizing and building food in the soul space was much easier than doing it himself. Wang Sheng had never eaten the Manchu Han Imperial Feast, but he had seen some documentaries or movies. One by one, Wang Sheng believed that one day he would be able to feed more than 1,000 little Qi Wen. Now, let's start with the simplest. What he made today should be the closest to reality and the easiest to visualize. According to different types, Wang Sheng began to work hard to make food in the soul space. Chapter 135. After one night, no matter how strong Wang Sheng's visualization ability was, he could only construct 10 different kinds, and they were all the braised dishes that Wang Sheng had made today. It wasn't that Wang Sheng hadn't tried to visualize something that he had never done before, such as fish-flavored shredded pork. In the end, the amount of spiritual power and energy consumed was more than 10 times more than what he had done before, and in the end, he still didn't succeed. After discovering this, Wang Sheng gave up and obediently constructed the braised dishes that he had made. The braised dishes that were unique to this world, such as demon pheasant or fanged swine, in Wang Sheng's view, were actually chicken feet, pig trotters, duck necks, and so on. The method was ready-made. The shadow eunuch and the two experts, Isley, ate happily. It wasn't that Wang Sheng's craftsmanship had reached the level of the top chefs on earth, but rather that they had never eaten so many spices and seasonings before. Thinking about how most of those things were in the medicine shop, everyone could understand the difference. After recovering from his cultivation in the morning, there were already 10 little cheese mouths in Wang Sheng's origin spirit space. The speed at which they gnawed slightly increased. Wang Sheng also bitterly smiled. He didn't think that he would have to go from a warrior to a chef. This cultivation was really beyond Wang Sheng's expectations. Of the two experts, Isley, Wang Sheng was sure that they were people from the city lord's mansion. They were definitely experts that were always paying attention to his whereabouts. As for the shadow eunuch, Wang Sheng couldn't say who he was right now, but just his identity as a mysterious representative of the royal family was enough to make Wang Sheng feel dread. Fortunately, at least before he announced the secret of raising his mediocre origin spirit, Wang Sheng didn't have to worry about his safety for the time being. If others didn't say anything, the city lord wouldn't let anyone touch him. After doing a set of muscle training in the courtyard, Wang Sheng slowly strolled out. What surprised Wang Sheng was that the streets of the inner city that didn't have many people on the previous 2 trips was actually so lively today. It wouldn't be accurate to say it was lively, because there weren't many people talking. However, there was a person standing in front of each of the houses near Wang Sheng's house. There were men and women, old and young. Even though they were just standing there, there was an indescribable, baleful aura around them that made people tremble with fear. Wang Sheng even noticed that it was because of the commotion when he went out that these people came out, and not because they had been here all along. What was going on? Little brother, what was that fragrance yesterday? Just as Wang Sheng reached the middle of the street, the old man opposite the door asked with a smile on his face, "How about 10 gold coins for 1 pot?" A moment ago, the old man still had a cold expression on his face, but the next moment, his face was full of smiles. That smile was indescribably amiable. The image of a cold killer turning into a kind old man in an instant was a little too subversive. Wang Sheng almost jumped in fright. Wang Sheng understood with one sentence. In fact, the fragrance had been wafting for the entire afternoon and night yesterday, but only the shadow old eunuch and Isley had eaten it. However, the 3 of them didn't hide the sound of eating and drinking. Those with a bit of cultivation would probably hear it clearly within 100 meters. It would be strange if these people didn't drool over the food that could make the shadow old eunuch and Isley so full smelled so good. As a matter of fact, they waited for Wang Sheng to go out early in the morning to buy it from him. Sure, no problem. Wang Sheng hurriedly nodded in agreement. How could he say no to a customer who came knocking on his door? This was the only way to create a protective area for himself. As long as these people warned him when he was in danger, he would have profited. I'll go buy the ingredients now and make it when I come back. Wang Sheng quickly reminded the old man. I'll send it to you once it's done. The old man grunted in satisfaction. He turned around and returned to his own courtyard with his hands behind his back. With this beginning, the rest would be much easier. I'll have a pot too. Put a pot on my tab too. Wherever Wang Sheng went, someone would greet him at the door. No matter who it was, they were all very polite and would turn around after saying their goodbyes. As for the direction that Wang Sheng didn't go, there were also people greeting him. The second house on your left, remember to have a pot. The third house on your left, give me a pot. Everyone's voice wasn't loud, but Wang Sheng could hear it clearly. Everyone was calm and orderly. One finished a sentence, the other continued. No one interrupted anyone else. No one gave him gold coins, but Wang Sheng believed that he would not be short of gold coins when he delivered himself to them. Would the experts who lived in the inner city be short of a few gold coins? Wang Sheng could only nod in agreement. When he walked out of the street, he realized that he had already agreed to more than 20 pots. This was a big problem. Wang Sheng's pot wasn't small, but it was only a big pot with a diameter of 2 meters. This wasn't small, but with so many people wanting it, how could he make it? Even if they were talking about a small pot, and Wang Sheng's big pot could hold 5 pots, more than 20 people would need at least 5 big pots. Time was limited, and it was impossible for Wang Sheng to make 5 pots in a day. Who should he give to first? It would be troublesome to offend anyone. This was Carefree City. Offending people from the outer city was definitely different from offending people from the inner city. If the 20 or so inner city killers were all at the level of Shadow Eunuch or Isley, even 100 Wang Sheng wouldn't be enough to kill them. While smiling bitterly, Wang Sheng raised his head and saw the housekeeper of the city lord's mansion looking at him with a smile. The fair and fat housekeeper was now smiling, and he greeted Wang Sheng warmly. "Good morning. I heard that you made some delicious food yesterday," and Isley and Shadow were full of praise. Almost half of the inner city was filled with the fragrance. The moment the housekeeper opened his mouth, he spoke in a slightly teasing tone, and there was even a hint of complaint. "Why didn't you call me when you had good food to eat?" Wang Sheng was already immune to this kind of friendly greeting from the housekeeper. However, looking at the housekeeper, Wang Sheng's bitter smile became more and more intense. He hadn't even dealt with the people on the street, and now there was a housekeeper, and there was definitely the city lord behind him. It was another large group of people that he couldn't afford to offend. "I was just testing it." Wang Sheng could only start to complain. The effect is not bad. However, the soup is new, and the taste is not good enough. Wait for a few more days, and when it becomes old soup, I will let you taste it. "What do you mean by, sir? I am just a servant." The housekeeper's attitude was surprisingly good. "In the future, just call me old brother. Don't ever call me sir, or else I will fall out with you." Old brother. Wang Sheng readily followed the good advice and immediately changed the way he addressed him. Thinking of the trouble from before, he looked at the smiling housekeeper and had an idea. "Old brother, I have a problem in front of me." "Old brother, do you think you can help?" Chapter 136. Why would the butler of the Carefree City's mayor's residence appear on the road and greet an ordinary person so intimately? Furthermore, he didn't even put on airs and called himself brother. If Wang Sheng really believed this, then Wang Sheng would have died many times over. The butler didn't look like this yesterday when they moved. For him to have such a change now, the reason must have happened after they moved yesterday. Wang Sheng couldn't think of anything else that could attract the butler's attention other than the gourmet braised food. Since Han Bing Li was from the mayor's residence, he would definitely tell the mayor and the butler how delicious the braised food was yesterday. So, the butler's appearance here had nothing to do with this? "Speak." The butler patted his chest and promised. "What trouble? As long as I can help, I won't refuse." Wang Sheng smiled bitterly and told him about his troubles. Of course, he mainly said that he couldn't make so much in a day. He didn't want to rely on the butler to bully others. That would offend others, not help. "What's the matter?" The butler chuckled and gave Wang Sheng an idea. "If you can't do it alone, then find a few more people to do it. If one pot isn't enough, can't you just find a few more?" "Sigh, that's the only way." Wang Sheng nodded. "I'll go to the Assassin's Hall to put up a mission and find a few people to help." "No need, no need." The butler stretched out his hand to stop Wang Sheng. "If you put up a mission, would it still count as me helping you? Don't worry, in an hour, I'll prepare all the things you need. I'll also find the people you need. Then I'll have to trouble you, brother." Wang Sheng didn't decline and immediately thanked him. If the butler wanted to help the mayor, he definitely couldn't just find a random person. Of course, it had to be someone he could trust. So, Wang Sheng didn't participate and let the butler find the people himself to avoid the mayor's suspicion. "Don't worry, brother, they're all long-legged beauties that you like." The butler patted his chest and took care of everything. But the butler's words almost made Wang Sheng stumble and fall to the ground. "What do you mean they're all long-legged beauties that I like?" Although long legs were indeed pleasing to the eye, but fine, he quite liked them. What else do you need? It seemed like the butler really wanted to buy something for the city lord. Demonic beast. Since that was the case, Wang Sheng was happy to save himself the trouble. There's so much meat. I haven't had enough demonic beasts to eat yet. Well said, well said. The butler casually snapped his fingers. I'll get someone to hunt now. By the way, fresh ones are better than aged ones, right? If Chin's is good, then take it from the warehouse. Whatever. Anything will do. Wang Sheng was stunned by the housekeeper's generosity. How could he eat chicken feet, duck neck, pig trotters, or something fresh? But when he thought about the person behind him, he understood. How about this, old brother, make something fresh? It'll be slightly better. As for the rest, just use the old ones. The taste won't be too different, and at most, the spiritual qi will be slightly lacking. The housekeeper immediately nodded. Wang Sheng's idea was good. If it was for the city lord, he would use the fresh ones. As for the rest, he would use the old ones in the warehouse. This little brother was very thoughtful. With the promise of the housekeeper, Wang Sheng was naturally much more relaxed. A lot of things originally had to be done by himself. Now that there was someone to help, it naturally saved a lot of trouble. As for teaching some cooking techniques to outsiders, what was the point of that? It would be good if there were more and more delicacies in this world, so that his primordial spirit could complete the Taotai transformation one day earlier. After bidding farewell to the housekeeper, Wang Sheng once again walked slowly to the imperial treasure house. While walking slowly, he felt the murderous aura that was almost everywhere in the entire Wushuang city, trying to familiarize himself with this aura and stimulate the changes in his primordial spirit. This time, he went to the imperial treasure house to get some pills. The old imperial doctor, the alchemist, and the soul refiner teamed up to help Wang Sheng refine a batch of pills to restore his primordial spirit. Although one night's time could not refine much, it was enough for Wang Sheng to use for 2 or 3 days. After these 2 or 3 days passed, they could refine another batch. Restoring primordial spirit was not a matter that could be seen in a short period of time. It needed to be taken for a long time. Of course, this was just an excuse for Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng would not eat any of the pills they refined. But these pills could cover up the fact that Wang Sheng's primordial spirit was enhanced by the increase in the number of delicacies that little Qi Wen ate. His primordial spirit was repaired, so naturally his cultivation base would improve. What happened in the inner city, the outer city knew very little. At least the news had not spread to the outer city. Wang Sheng was in the imperial treasure house. Naturally, Ling rolled her eyes at him, threw him a bottle, and Ling no longer cared about Wang Sheng. With the pills, Wang Sheng was about to go back, when he suddenly remembered that the seasonings he bought yesterday were not enough to make so many braised dishes. Ordinary seasonings were enough, but the ones he bought from the medicine shop were too little, so he needed to add more. Boss, the ones I bought yesterday, give me another 10 gene of each. As soon as he entered the door, Wang Sheng saw the medicine shop owner who was dozing off, as well as a few unfamiliar customers. The customers came to buy things, but there was nothing unusual, so Wang Sheng did not take it seriously and directly shouted at the shop owner. The medicine shop owner was in a daze. When he suddenly heard Wang Sheng shout, he was suddenly awakened, and then he directly jumped up. His face was filled with anger. The so-called provoking a drunkard was better than provoking a sleeping ghost. This was a famous saying left behind by the old ancestor. A drunkard did not know anything, so if he provoked it, then he provoked it. But if a sleeping ghost was awakened from his sleep, then he would definitely explode. This was the reason why people were angry when they woke up. The few customers who were received by the shop assistant immediately realized that there was a show to watch. They were outsiders who came to Carefree City to gain experience. They had never seen Wang Sheng before, nor had they heard anything about Wang Sheng. Carefree City was not a place where just anyone could easily obtain information, so it was normal that they did not know. Now that the few of them saw this situation, they were a little gloating. Although they did not know Wang Sheng, they did know a lot of things about Carefree City, especially when they knew that the attitude of the merchants in Carefree City was surprisingly good. Of course, They did not dare to behave atrociously in the shops of Carefree City. Now that Wang Sheng suddenly shouted so loudly that even the sleeping boss was startled. Wouldn't there be a good show to watch? Just as the few of them were waiting to see how the boss would fly into a rage and suddenly turn from street vendor to a cultivation expert to beat up Wang Sheng, letting Wang Sheng know the rules of Carefree City, they suddenly saw a scene that they did not dare to believe. The furious boss dashed forward, his speed and movement technique definitely that of an expert. But when his figure appeared in front of Wang Sheng, the furious expression on his face had already turned into the most enthusiastic smile. His body almost turned 90 degrees, and with a flattering tone, he greeted Wang Sheng with a smile. The esteemed guest is here. Quickly come in, quickly come in. What the hell? The few people who were planning to watch the show were confused, and one of them even secretly asked the shop assistant. You all don't know him? The shop assistant also had a look of longing on his face. He is our Carefree City's god of buyers. Chapter 137. God of buyers? The customers looked at Wang Sheng, who didn't seem to have any other advantages other than being strong and healthy. They really couldn't understand why Wang Sheng would have such a puzzling title. Even Wang Sheng himself did not know when he had inexplicably gained such a title. Do you know why our shopkeeper is dozing off over there? The light in the shop assistant's eyes didn't diminish at all. Instead, it became brighter as he spoke. I don't know, one of the customers asked curiously. Why would a shopkeeper like you ask us when you're dozing off? Isn't it just dozing off? Who doesn't get sleepy sometimes? But in order to know the reason, the customers still cooperated and asked. Because the shopkeeper wasn't here yesterday. In the end, the previous shop assistant took the money from this customer. The shop assistant covered half of his mouth mysteriously and whispered the reason. After the shopkeeper came back and found out, he was so anxious that he couldn't sleep for the whole night. That's why he's dozing off now. I see. The two customers thought they understood and exclaimed in realization. This so-called god of buyers must be the kind of person who dominated the market. Usually, he would just rob the customers without paying. However, he was powerful and the shopkeeper couldn't afford to offend him. Therefore, it was normal for him to not sleep for the whole night after taking the money. Which place didn't have a few bullies? It wasn't surprising that there were such people in Carefree City. On the contrary, it would be strange if there weren't such bullies in Carefree City. In a city full of killers and villains, no one would dominate the market. What a joke. However, what made the guests feel strange was that, generally speaking, those who played the role of a tyrant were basically powerful masters. However, no matter how they looked at it, Wang Sheng did not look like someone with great strength. His body was indeed quite big, but that was useless in the world of cultivators. Whether one was strong or not depended on one's cultivation level. The shopkeeper had already invited Wang Sheng to take a seat with a face full of smiles. He didn't hear Wang Sheng's words clearly and asked with a smile, I didn't hear it clearly just now. Please give me your instructions again. Give me 5 caddies of each of the things I bought yesterday. Wang Sheng didn't get impatient and repeated his request. Please take a seat. Please take a seat for a moment. I'll prepare it for you immediately. The shopkeeper suddenly became as excited as if he had eaten a spirit pill or a mortal herb. Even when he walked, all the muscles in his body were jumping with joy, causing the customers at the side to be speechless. He had never seen a shopkeeper like this, being bullied and yet being so happy. One of them had done business before, so he understood the shopkeeper's mentality very well. When doing business, one must seek peace and prosperity. When encountering such a bully who dominated the market and could not defeat the power behind him, one could only obediently pay some protection fees and seek peace. This was a living example. Yesterday, the bully came to buy medicine and was charged. Today, he immediately returned the favor. Who would buy medicine in batches of 10 kilograms? What's more, there's 5 kilograms of each. Why don't you take medicine and eat until you're stuffed to death? Sigh. No matter where I do business, there is no exception. It was the same even in Carefree City. The world was as black as crows. The customer who had done business shook his head and sighed in his heart. He lamented that business was not easy, and he hated himself for being powerless against this kind of evil that was commonplace in the world. I think these esteemed customers must have misunderstood something. The shop assistant was originally looking at Wang Sheng being served by the shopkeeper with reverence, but he was attracted by the customer's sigh. When he turned his head and saw the gazes of the customers, he immediately realized that they had misunderstood and hurriedly reminded them. The customers turned to look at the shop assistant in confusion. Such a simple and clear fact. How could there be a misunderstanding? It must be that the power behind that guy was too strong, so even this poor shop assistant dared not to speak up. It must be like this. This person is not taking things by force or trickery. He is the most straightforward when it comes to paying. He pays the price every time, the shop assistant quickly explained. What a joke. If these customers misunderstood, and a righteous and unyielding hero jumped out to defend the injustice and hurt that person, wouldn't the world be in chaos? Paying to buy things, how could he be called the god of buyers? The customers snorted disdainfully. Such a simple thing. Who didn't know how to do it? If this was called the god of buyers, then all of them would be the god of buyers. Could it be that he spends a lot of money every time? One of them saw the clues and asked aloud. This was a medicine shop. Who came here to buy medicine? How much did one medicine cost? It was rare to see one that used two. Wang Sheng bought 5 caddies of each medicine at once, and he paid according to the price. He didn't give any discount, as a wholesale business required. If he was the boss, he would also like such a big customer. In an instant, he turned from a bully to a popular and simple-minded boss. Such a good person, a good customer, and a good buyer. It was not too much to give him the title of the god of buyers. If it were them, they would definitely praise Wang Sheng high and let him enjoy everyone's flattery. Then, they would spend a lot of money. Just now, they were looking at Wang Sheng with hatred, but now, they looked at him as if he was a fool. Alas, how good it would be if such a good person was a customer in their shop. Spending a lot of money? The shop assistant shook his head. The shopkeeper doesn't like this master spending a lot of money. He would only be happy if this master came to buy things that the shop doesn't have. Just as he finished speaking, the shop assistant looked at the shopkeeper's excited expression and became a little unsure. He was also dumbfounded and couldn't understand. The shop assistant didn't understand, and the customers were even more confused. What the hell was going on? If he wanted to buy something, he should buy it. Why did he have to buy things that the shop didn't have? Was he crazy? If it was a normal place, this person would definitely be beaten up. However, the shopkeeper was really too much. He couldn't understand why the shopkeeper was so eager to please such a person. You guys aren't from here, so you won't understand. The shop assistant couldn't explain it to everyone and could only give an even more baffling comment. While everyone was getting more and more confused, the shop assistant said a final sentence. I understand. Now, let's see how much money the shopkeeper is going to pay. The customers looked at the shop assistant with even more exaggerated gazes than when they looked at the idiot Wang Sheng. Was this place really abnormal? Did he become an idiot after entering Carefree City? What kind of shop would have a shopkeeper pay for his own goods? If this business could continue, would there still be justice in the world? Just when everyone was feeling indignant, the shopkeeper had already walked out from the back with a bag in his arms. He placed the bag in front of Wang Sheng, and the sound of gold coins clashing could be heard. The shopkeeper smiled and said to Wang Sheng, the shop assistant from yesterday was ignorant and made a fool of himself. 1,000 gold coins. Please kindly accept it. Did you see that? The shop assistant showed off to the customers who were already dumbfounded. What is the god of buyers? This is the god of buyers. Chapter 138. Not only did the shop not accept gold coins, but it also gave him gold coins. What kind of logic was this? From what the shop assistant said and the shopkeeper's happy expression, it was clearly not the kind of protection fee that was used to dominate the market. How could he spend so many gold coins and give away so many goods? Why was the shopkeeper still smiling as if he had picked up gold coins? Why was this place so evil? Why? A customer asked, unconvinced. He had never seen such a buyer and seller. It was clearly the other way around. Based on what this master bought today, someone will buy it back 10 times or 100 times more tomorrow, the shop assistant said proudly. At the same time, there was a smile on his face as if he was about to make a fortune. There was no way he couldn't be happy. In the past, these medicinal herbs were sold for a few coins. At most, they were sold by 2. Now that Wang Sheng bought them by 10 caddies, needless to say, he would definitely sell them by hundreds of caddies. The sales had suddenly increased by 100 or even 1,000 times. It would be strange if he wasn't happy. You're bragging. A customer really didn't believe it. This was a medicine shop, and they sold medicinal herbs. Who would take medicine by caddies? Even if the whole house was full of patients, they wouldn't be able to finish it, right? What bragging? The shop assistant wasn't happy. This person didn't know anything and still dared to refute. He really had to let him know about Wang Sheng's glorious deeds. Do you know the carpenter Old Lu in the back street? A few days ago, that master went in to buy a rocking chair. Old Lu didn't have it and didn't know how to make it, so that master gave him some pointers. The shop assistant stuck out his thumb and began to explain to these people. He had the name, the time, the place, the people, the cause, and the ending. All that was left was the climax and the ending. Guess what happened next? How was it? Some of the customers cooperated and immediately asked. That master left for less than half a day, and nearly 100 people came to ask for custom-made rocking chairs. It was exactly the same as what that master wanted. The shop assistant's thumb almost stuck out to his face. The climax and ending were immediately announced. 10 gold coins for one, and they all paid a deposit first. When Old Lu sent the chair to that master, he personally brought 500 gold coins over. The next day, dozens of rocking chairs were sold, and Old Lu sent another 500 gold coins the next day. The customers were already dumbfounded. It was a wooden rocking chair. Although he had never seen it before, wasn't it just a chair? It actually sold for so many gold coins? He knew that the prices of goods in the worry-free city were high. But wasn't this too ridiculous? The most ridiculous thing was that Wang Sheng didn't pay a single gold coin. Instead, he received 1,000 gold coins. No wonder the shopkeeper gave Wang Sheng 1,000 gold coins. It was because of the market price. Everyone, don't be skeptical. The blacksmith at the end of the street, Big Pillar. Yesterday, the young master went to Big Pillar and ordered a set of things. Big Pillar didn't say anything. He quickly searched the shop and collected 500 gold coins. The shop assistant pointed to the direction of the street outside, indicating the place where the story happened. It's just a rumor. This Big Pillar doesn't sound like a smart person. He must have been deceived. The guest who asked why was absolutely unconvinced and retorted, that Old Lu must be in cahoots with this guy. Big Pillar couldn't figure out. If Big Pillar heard what you said, he might be very grateful to you. The shop assistant sneered. How dare he slander Wang Sheng? Or slander Wang Sheng in the worry-free city? Was he tired of living? When Big Pillar entered the worry-free city, he killed 7 third-stage realm experts from the Gone family, 3 killers from the Godly Might prison, and 12 killers from the worry-free city. Among them, there were 4 third-stage killers. Having done business on the same street for a long time, the shop assistant more or less knew the background of some acquaintances. With a fake smile on his face, he ridiculed. Big Pillar has a nickname outside, called Bloodkill Bear. When you're free, you could go to Big Pillar's blacksmith shop and tell him what you just said. The shop assistant wasn't bragging at all. To tell the truth, which of the residents of the worry-free city didn't cause a bloody storm when they entered the city? Which of them would cause a small commotion? The moment a newcomer came, it would be like when Wang Sheng entered the city. There would definitely be many people paying attention to him. Bloodkill Bear. Hearing this name, the person who provoked him immediately shriveled. Who would have thought that the infamous fellow in the outside world was only a pillar of support in the worry-free city? Who would be able to reason with him? Face-to-face reminder? You want a Zhu to be grateful to me? How stupid do you have to be to do this kind of thing? That Big Pillar spent 500 gold coins. What happened in the end? A companion beside him hurriedly smoothed things over and asked. The moment that master stepped out of the blacksmith shop, someone immediately ordered 100 sets of the same equipment from Big Pillar. The shop assistant raised his head proudly. 50 gold coins for a set. Put down the gold coins first and wait for the goods to come out. Calculate it yourself. Big Pillar said that when he delivers the things tomorrow, he should bring the remaining 500 gold coins with him. He still wanted to give more, but he was afraid that Master wouldn't want it. While everyone was amazed, they couldn't help but be curious. Someone asked doubtfully, "Is there no one who didn't give him gold coins and earned it?" "Yes, of course there is." The shop assistant was even more excited this time. "But it's the blacksmith Zheng Taitu from the back street. When that master first entered the city, he bought a big chopping board from him. There was nothing fancy about it. The same thing didn't sell for much, just around 30 gold coins. Then he didn't earn much." The person who asked the question said, "How much can a chopping board cost?" "There aren't many of them, even at 30 gold coins." Of course, no one dared to mention Taitu Zheng's name. Maybe he was a troublemaker outside. "Yes." The shop assistant nodded and straightened his chest, but he still made a profit. Originally, Taitu Zheng also wanted to give a bag of gold coins, but Sister Rosa from the Assassin Hall said that it was unnecessary. It was an expedient measure for that master when he first entered the city. There was no need to ruin his reputation, so it was better not to give it. Sister Rosa was the one who made the assassin card for that master. She had a small friendship with that master, so Taitu Zheng didn't give it. If that's the case, then this person is really amazing. After listening to the shop assistant's words, these customers understood Wang Sheng's crazy fighting power when it came to shopping. They couldn't help but say that they were convinced. Seeing that the shopkeeper had already prepared the seasonings that Wang Sheng wanted, which added up to a big bag of more than 100 kilograms, the shopkeeper even specially sent a shop assistant to deliver it to Wang Sheng's door with extreme enthusiasm. Until Wang Sheng's figure disappeared, the shopkeeper was still waving goodbye reluctantly. The few customers thought that the show was over. In the end, before the shopkeeper could walk back to his seat from the door, 2 people came in from outside and shouted, "Shopkeeper, bring 10 times the price of each of the things that Lone Wolf ordered and send them to the mayor's residence." Thud! A customer didn't sit properly and fell on his butt. God of buyers, did he have to be so godly? Chapter 139. The shopkeeper was so happy that he didn't know what to say. While agreeing, he hurriedly invited the people to sit down and asked, "Why do you suddenly want so much? What good idea does he have this time?" Lone Wolf made some delicious food with these. The person also knew that this secret could not be maintained for long, so he told the shopkeeper straightforwardly, "If you are smart, quickly buy more and prepare so that Bao Qing Yutang and the Imperial Treasury can take the big profits. Save it, save it." The shopkeeper's eyes had begun to shine, and he nodded his head like a kowtowing worm. What a joke. How could taking medicine be compared to eating? Who would take medicine every day? But they had to eat every day, right? If this was done well, these medicinal herbs would be a big income in the future. If everyone in the world ate them, the shopkeeper could not imagine what kind of scene it would be. Not to mention the huge ambition of the shopkeeper, several guests over there finally reacted. One of them was still somewhat unconvinced and said, "Since this person is the god of buyers, how can he let people treat him like this when he enters the Imperial Treasury and Bao Qing Yutang? Of course, the Imperial Treasury and Bao Qing Yutang won't pay." The man said eloquently and deliberately dragged his tone. "That's only for small businesses like you. But when it comes to big businesses like this, there's nothing they can do." As if he had the upper hand, the man finally felt that he had won the game and smiled. Uft. The man made a disdainful sound, raised his whole face, and sneered at the man who spoke. "It's just that they don't pay. But he has some minor problems, so the young master of the Imperial Treasury specially invited an Imperial doctor and an Imperial alchemist from the Imperial City all the way to Carefree City to treat him. He also invited a soul refining master, and all the expenses were covered." The people who listened were directly dumbfounded. There was such a thing? How could the scale of the Imperial Treasury not be known by people who often went out? How is this possible? Someone immediately asked, "What about Bao Qing Yutang?" As soon as the manager of Bao Qing Yutang heard that Bao Qing Yu's treatment required a lot of rare medicinal herbs, he agreed without blinking his eyes. All the required medicinal herbs would be covered by Bao Qing Yutang. The shop assistant glared at the man for a while before he slowly lowered his head. He raised his thumb and asked, If this kind of person isn't the god of buyers, then who is? A few country bumpkins who came from nowhere could imagine the prestige of that person who was like a fish in water in worry-free city. The waiter had put on airs today. Just his words alone were enough to make him feel good. Wang Xing didn't know that his story from the past few days had been used by a shop assistant to teach a lesson to those who didn't know his reputation. Now that everything was bought, Wang Xing had to hurry back to cook for the group of uncles. As an ace sniper, he no longer had the awe-inspiring air of a special forces soldier. Instead, he was clearly just a chef. On the way back, Wang Xing didn't forget to buy a large amount of vegetables. Meat and vegetables were important when eating. Eating meat alone would make one tired after a while, so there had to be something to relieve the greediness. As soon as he got home, Wang Xing was dumbfounded. The housekeeper's movements were too fast. In the short time that Wang Xing went out to buy things, he had already moved all the required ingredients over. There was only one stove in the kitchen, which wasn't enough. The housekeeper asked someone to set up 5 big stoves in the outer courtyard of Wang Xing's house. They were smeared with the finest yellow mud. They didn't even need to start a fire to dry them. Instead, they asked a fire elemental expert to dry them with spiritual energy. When Wang Xing came in, the expert was finishing the last step of the stove. His hands were placed on the stove, and the newly built stove was steaming. In the blink of an eye, all the water vapor inside evaporated. This was too exaggerated. Wang Xing looked at this scene and really didn't know what to say. Wasn't it just a wet stove? Was it worth mobilizing so many people? Wouldn't it be enough to cook with a little fire? Looking to the side, Wang Xing was speechless again. On the wall of the outer courtyard, firewood of almost the same length and thickness were stacked neatly. It was enough for Wang Xing to burn for a month. Seeing the firewood, Wang Xing remembered what he had forgotten. He forgot about firewood. There was methane in this world, but there wasn't any methane gas that could be used. Everyone used firewood to boil water and rice. With so many big pots to be started at the same time, the firewood that Wang Xing originally had at home wasn't enough to boil the water. Fortunately, the housekeeper was thoughtful and had prepared all the necessary items. On the other side of the courtyard, there was a large group of various demon beasts. They weren't big and their levels weren't high, but they were all very complete. Wang Xing felt that these things were enough to feed a group of people on Earth. Brother, what do you think of these things? While Wang Xing was dumbfounded, the housekeeper's loud voice came from behind him. The moment Wang Xing turned around, he saw the old butler's unchanging smile. Then he saw what was behind the old butler, and he was once again dumbfounded. 6 young girls with graceful figures, all specially wearing trousers that showed off their long legs. Every one of them wore clothes of the same color. 6 of them, 3 on each side, stood behind the housekeeper. Seeing Wang Xing turn around, the 6 girls bowed to Wang Xing and said in a crisp voice, "Greetings, young master." Behind the 6 girls, there was a row of burly men who also bowed and said, "Greetings, young master." Wang Xing was completely speechless. The housekeeper was really something. Long-legged beauties came just like that, and there were so many of them at once. How could he find them in such a short time? "I know you can't handle it alone, so I found some helpers for you," old brother housekeeper said with a smile. "The 6 of them are rather nimble. Don't think that their cultivation is only at the peak of the 2nd-degree realm. Even a few 3rd-degree realm cultivators might not be able to win against them. Just tell us what to do." Only at the peak of the 2nd-degree realm? Wang Xing looked at the group of girls who looked younger than him. They were all at the peak of the 2nd-degree realm, the same level as the Song family's eldest daughter, Song Yan. The mayor's residence of Carefree City was indeed not simple. If even a few maids and maids were at this level, Carefree City's power was probably not any weaker than the Milky Way Song family. What else could Wang Xing say? What else could he say? He could only wave his hand and say loudly, "Go boil the water first." The row of burly men behind him all started to get to work. Those who lit the fire, those who put the pot down, those who boiled the water. The 6 long-legged beauties were still looking at Wang Xing with 6 pairs of beautiful eyes, waiting for his orders. Presumably, this kind of rough work like boiling water was the job of these burly men. Wang Sheng believed that these delicate beauties could definitely kill people, but could they do the work in the kitchen? Wang Sheng expressed his disbelief. But the housekeeper was still watching, so Wang Sheng could only wave his hand and say, "You guys come with me to deal with those demonic beasts." Chapter 140. Without waiting for Wang Sheng to pick the demon beast, the few beauties flashed and placed a demon beast on the big chopping board in Wang Sheng's shop. "Brother, you deal with one of them first. Let them watch and learn," the butler suddenly said. Wang Sheng did not comment and took a few steps forward. Just as he was about to start, he suddenly thought of something and stopped. He explained to Brother Butler, who was puzzled next to him, "Wait for the water to boil. Wash your hands and the chopping board. It will be cleaner." Brother Butler nodded his head in satisfaction and said no more. While waiting, the 6 women did not stay idle. They separated the big pile of demon beasts into different types. Especially a small pile, there were almost all kinds of demon beasts prepared, but it was obviously different from the others. With just a few glances, Wang Sheng understood. This small pile was fresh, which was prepared for the city lord and butler. Including the one that was just put on the board, it needed to be processed by Wang Sheng himself. The rest would definitely be handled by the 6 women. It seemed that the method of boiling water to wash his hands and wash them made Brother Butler very satisfied. Wang Sheng waited for the water to boil and washed his hands, tools, and chopping board before he started to process. These demon beasts were all dissected by Wang Sheng in detail, so it was very easy to process them. Those that should be plucked were scalded and plucked. Those that should be skinned were skinned with a dagger. After that, Wang Sheng began his smooth performance of dissecting a cow like a butcher in the outer city. Even the Lord Steward watched the performance with relish. Wang Sheng's technique was really too beautiful, especially the stage of deboning and separating the meat. It was simply outstanding rhythm, and with ease, it gave people a kind of aesthetic enjoyment for no reason. The 6 women were already stunned. Don't think that they were not careless in practicing knives and swords, but when had they ever come across this kind of knife skills used in the kitchen? Originally, when they were brought here by Butler, they were still unconvinced. He was just an ordinary person, at most in the first-degree realm. How could they be an assistant to such a person? Where was their pride as an expert? But after seeing Wang Sheng's neat and clean cattle-dismembering knife technique, all the women were dumbfounded. They couldn't do it as smoothly as Wang Sheng, nor could they do it as easily as Wang Sheng. However, no one was a fool. Just by looking at Wang Sheng's accuracy and ease with which he swung his saber, one could tell that slaughtering a small demon beast was definitely beneficial to his weapon practice. At this time, they didn't need the butler to force them. They were willing to give a try. In the process of Wang Sheng dealing with these demonic beasts, in addition to his neat and tidy methods, there was another biggest characteristic, which was that he paid great attention to hygiene. Whenever the dagger came into contact with a dirty spot, it would immediately be washed with boiling water. It was very diligent in washing the dagger and hands, which made the butler nod in approval. This was the last thing that would enter the mouth of the city lord. No matter what, the butler had to see Wang Sheng make it. From the looks of it, Wang Sheng was quite clean, which made people feel comfortable. When it was the turn of the women to deal with the old demonic beasts, it wasn't so good to look at. Although each of the 6 women was a beautiful woman, and each of them was pleasing to the eye, their movements when dealing with the demon beasts were as uncoordinated as they could be. In particular, they had no experience at all, yet they still wanted to imitate Wang Sheng's movements, which made them even more of a joke. Fortunately, although the process was not good to look at, they managed to deal with this batch of demonic beasts. According to Wang Sheng's requirements, they were cut and divided into several pots. Wang Sheng deliberately picked out some unique demonic beasts before dealing with the demonic beasts. These couldn't be stewed in a big pot, otherwise it would smell bad. The ones for the city lord mansion and the butler were placed in a big pot separately, and the others were evenly divided into 5 pots, and then stewed according to Wang Sheng's instructions. At this time, Wang Sheng didn't have to do it, he just needed to move his mouth. It was the same process the first time the water was poured out and the second time the seasoning was added. Wang Sheng also told the women what the seasoning was and what the proportion was. The seasoning bags were made of clean linen cloth and boiled in boiling water. After the fire was lit, it was time to control the heat and wait for the flavor to enter. This time, all the refined salt that Wang Sheng had worked hard to make after coming to the worry-free city was used up. At night, Wang Sheng had to make another batch, lest he had no salt to eat. Yesterday, Wang Sheng was still cooking in the kitchen, but today the entire outer courtyard was filled with pots and stoves. After the water was boiled for a while, the rich fragrance almost filled the entire street. While they were waiting, the butler even specifically asked Old Soup what he meant. When he learned that it was a pot of soup with seasoning that was repeatedly stewed with seasoning and mixed with various meat flavors, he didn't say anything and pointed to the pot specially made for the city lord. After it was done, he wanted to take the pot of soup away. It was just a pot of soup. Wang Sheng wouldn't take it to heart. It was good to take it away. At least he didn't have to cook it himself every time. It was good that he brought people to learn and cook it himself. The rich fragrance wreaked havoc in half of the inner city for the entire afternoon. When it was time for the hungry people to eat dinner, Wang Sheng finally removed the fire. The things were picked out and treated coldly. After it was done, Wang Sheng didn't need to do anything. The 6 long-legged beauties each carried it to the surrounding courtyards. Those who ordered braised food in the morning didn't miss a single one. As for the leftovers, Wang Sheng didn't plan to treat them unfairly. He kept a portion for himself and let them take the rest away. As for the city lord's pot, it had already been taken away by someone. As for the rest, before Wang Sheng could think about how to deal with it, the butler had already opened his mouth. "Brother, the city lord's mansion will buy this method of yours. From now on, don't spread it out." As he spoke, the butler waved his hand, and 2 people appeared out of nowhere. They carried a big box and brought it to Wang Sheng. "You can eat it yourself and sell it, but don't sell it using this method. How about it?" Okay. Wang Sheng naturally didn't have any objections. It was just a method of braising meat. It wasn't something precious. However, Wang Sheng suddenly remembered the matter of the seasonings and hurriedly reminded, "I can do anything here, but brother, you have to pay attention to the seasonings. Don't worry, no one will know what it is." The butler said confidently, "In the future, the city lord's mansion will open another business that specializes in selling seasonings. As long as you keep your mouth shut, it'll be fine." With that said, he patted the big box, cupped his hands at Wang Sheng, and turned to leave. A group of people began to move the big pots in the courtyard away. From the movements, one could tell that they were experts. Wang Sheng waited until everyone was done before looking at the empty front courtyard. He suddenly didn't know how to express his feelings. A new business? The city lord of worry-free city who sells 13 spice? That scene is too beautiful. Just thinking about it makes me drunk. Chapter 141. There are no outsiders. Only Wang Sheng was left. But when Wang Sheng turned around, he saw the shadow eunuch. "The soup you made yesterday has been cooking for 2 days. I'll take it away." The old eunuch left a sentence for Wang Sheng. Then, Wang Sheng watched as the old eunuch poured the soup from Wang Sheng's own pot into a few small buckets. While he was puzzled, the small buckets disappeared one by one. Wang Sheng understood at a glance. The old eunuch must have a storage ring. But this was just a pot of seasoned soup. It shouldn't be in such high demand, right? Why did he have to use a high-grade storage ring to preserve it? If this was a pot of old soup that had been passed down for hundreds of years in an old shop on Earth in Shin, then it would be fine. But it was just a pot of stew from yesterday and today. Was it necessary? He could only say that these fellows were country bumpkins who had never seen anything good. Don't be fooled by their city lords or emperors. They were all country bumpkins who had never seen the world. Needless to say, if the old eunuch was really loyal, he would definitely take this pot of soup to show filial piety to the emperor. Thinking about it, it was really shameful. To offer such pitiful food to the emperor as tribute, the royal family was really pitiful. Wang Sheng criticized in his heart. He reached out to open the big box left behind by the housekeeper. When he opened it, a golden color almost blinded Wang Sheng's eyes. "Very good. Wang Sheng closed the box. If this was on Earth, and Wang Sheng told others that he used a few kinds of noodles and a very simple method of stewing meat to exchange for a few thousand gold coins, which was equivalent to a few hundred kilograms of gold, would people scold Wang Sheng for being crazy and indulging in the wildest fantasies? But, thinking back, this business was not ordinary. Although Wang Sheng laughed at the carefree city lord for selling 13 spice, in ancient times on Earth, this was a spice business. It was definitely a big business that only tycoons had the qualifications to do. A few thousand gold coins was barely acceptable. When there was a huge profit, the efficiency would be very high at any time. When Wang Sheng woke up early in the morning, he could smell the aroma of braised meat wafting through almost half of the city. Walking out for a stroll, Wang Sheng saw a scene that made him speechless. There were several stalls in the inner city and outer city that openly sold Carefree City's braised meat. The smell was that of the demonic beast meat that had been braised for half a night. The drugstore where he had bought things the day before had changed its name. It was no longer a drugstore, but a perfume shop, just as Wang Sheng had expected. The shopkeeper and the waiters were still the same, but the items sold inside had already been proportioned to Carefree City's delicious fragrance. Needless to say, the owner of this shop must be the city lord of Carefree City. He was indeed the true controller of the worry-free city. His efficiency was undeniable. When the shopkeeper saw Wang Sheng, he was even happier than when he saw his own father. He kept asking Wang Sheng to check if the items were right. Picking up a small handful, Wang Sheng tasted it and casually spat out. He nodded and said, "The taste is about the same. The items are still okay. However, aren't you afraid that people will imitate them? There are two specialties of the worry-free city's forest inside. I'm not afraid of them imitating them." The shopkeeper had nothing to hide from Wang Sheng. He hurriedly replied, "Lord City Lord, please take care of this. This will be a big business in the future." Wang Sheng didn't even ask about the customers he had met yesterday. In the worry-free city, the city lord had a million ways to force them to cooperate or force them to cooperate. Otherwise, he wouldn't have to worry about this problem anymore. Find a few good chefs and mix these seasonings according to different proportions. Then, taste the food. If you feel that it tastes good, you can introduce a new product. Wang Sheng felt that the few thousand gold coins were a little too hot for his hands. He didn't forget to point out, a shop can't only sell one type of food, right? I'll go arrange it right now. Hearing this, it was a golden idea. The shopkeeper didn't say anything else and immediately agreed. After strolling around, Wang Sheng also bought 2 of the braised meat from the shops to try. Actually, this was unnecessary. It was clearly the original soup he made yesterday. How different could the taste be? He didn't see the 6 long-legged beauties. It seemed like they were just here to learn, and there was someone else behind the scenes. Wang Sheng's stroll today was not to pay attention to these things, but rather to see if the set of cooking tools he had made was completed. Last night, Wang Sheng had made 10 different kinds of braised meat in his source spirit space and fed 10 little chi kisses. But how complicated and different could braised meat be? If Wang Sheng didn't make something new, he wouldn't be able to upgrade his little chi kisses. It was very difficult to make something delicious out of thin air, but as long as he could make it himself, it would be very simple. Considering efficiency, Wang Sheng wanted to become a chef in a short period of time. Not to mention, he could also satisfy his desire for good food, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The blacksmith Dezhu had just completed Wang Sheng's request today and made a batch of cooking utensils. It wasn't that he was procrastinating. First, Wang Sheng won a lot of things. Second, the cooking utensils that Wang Sheng asked for were made of good iron. Just collecting them took half a day. Being able to finish it in 2 days was already considered as the Zhu working overtime. Because it was made for Wang Sheng, and he knew that Wang Sheng was a person who liked cleanliness, Dezhu deliberately polished all the finished products, whether it was pots or ladles, until they were shiny. Compared to the electroplated items that Wang Sheng used on Earth, it was not much different. Wang Sheng was very satisfied. He wanted to urge him, but seeing the finished products, he dispelled the idea. Letting Dezhu polish the remaining things first, Wang Sheng brought home the simplest hot pot. Anyway, hot pot was the easiest thing to make. The dividing line between the inner and outer city was actually on the street in front of the assassin hall. There was a red line drawn in the middle. Crossing the red line was the inner city, which was part of the land of 1,000 despair. Outside the red line was the outer city. The assassin hall and the imperial treasure house Baoqing Yutang were considered to be in the outer city. Deju's blacksmith shop was also in the outer city. There were only a few shops in the inner city, and most of them were private houses of masters. There were very few courtyards like Wang Sheng's with a shop facing the street. Even people in the inner city would come to the outer city to buy things. People living in the worry-free city were vigilant almost all the time, because there were countless murderous intentions in the city at any time. Some people couldn't control their breath, and they would give people a sense of danger at any time. After staying for a long time, people would subconsciously ignore some similar things and relax their vigilance. Wang Sheng just walked out of the blacksmith shop with a hot pot when he suddenly felt a murderous intent. His eyes narrowed, but he didn't find anything unusual, so he ignored it. However, after taking a few steps, he suddenly turned around, and a Glock 17 appeared in his hand. He fired repeatedly. Chapter 142. Not far behind Wang Sheng, a young man who was bargaining at the shop suddenly jumped up. He took out a small crossbow and shot it at Wang Sheng's chest. Although the crossbow was not big, its arm was only as long as a normal person's forearm, but it was extremely powerful. The small crossbow let out a sharp sound as it pierced through the air. Wang Sheng's reaction was fast enough. He used his left hand to block the hot pot in front of his chest. He fired a few shots and hit the assassin. Killing someone in the outer city of Worry-Free City wasn't unheard of. It was just that the person who did it had to pay a huge price. If they didn't succeed, they would definitely be killed. Even if they succeeded, they would have to pay a huge fine to Worry-Free City. It was unknown who wanted Wang Sheng's life. Before Wang Sheng entered Worry-Free City, he had killed too many people and offended too many families. It wasn't strange for any family to send someone to kill him. However, this was a very strange time. Logically speaking, when Wang Sheng was about to announce the secret of his unrated source spirit, all the families wanted to know about it. They definitely wouldn't make a move. Even if they did make a move, it would be after Wang Sheng announced it. It would only be a month later. How impatient would these families be to do such a thing? Wang Sheng's gun was very fast. He fired 6 shots. The first shot was aimed at the assassin's chest. The rest were the eyes and head. At such a close distance, Wang Sheng's first 3 shots landed on the assassin without missing a beat. Anyone who dared to make a move in Worry-Free City was definitely not a mediocre person. Therefore, Wang Sheng's first reaction was to kill the assassin. He didn't even hesitate to use up all his bullets. The sound of bullets hitting the assassin stunned everyone who saw this scene. Everyone stared blankly at the strange, hidden weapon in Wang Sheng's hands. They were completely unable to determine what it was. The assassin in front of him was completely dead. The first shot hit his chest. This guy was probably wearing some kind of armor, so he was fine. But when a second shot hit his left eye, he had no way out. Wang Sheng's marksmanship was extremely accurate, especially after he had enhanced his vision and increased his strength over the past few days. The stability of his marksmanship had increased several times. The second shot hit the left eye, and the third shot hit the right eye. These 2 shots directly took the killer's life. The last 3 shots weren't fired at the fellow who leapt up to fire the crossbow, but at the old man behind the assassin who didn't seem to have any killing intent or unusual movements. At first glance, the old man looked like an extremely ordinary person. His white hair made him look like a pitiful person who had been through many hardships. However, if this disguise was outside, it would be extremely normal. But in the Worry-Free City, it was extremely abnormal. To be able to open a stall in the Worry-Free City, which of them did not possess tyrannical strength? Of course, there was another characteristic, which was that no matter what kind of customers they treated, they would always be extremely kind. However, this old man had a bitter expression on his face. It seemed that he was forced to live a difficult life, so he didn't smile. But in the Worry-Free City, this kind of expression, as if someone had died in the family, was not suitable for opening a shop. Moreover, who was Wang Sheng? If Wang Sheng could remember a chance encounter with the assassin Aki in Upper Forest City 4 months ago, how could he not remember the owner of the shop next to Big Pillar's smithy yesterday? Ding! At the same time that Wang Sheng's gunshot sounded, the crossbow bolt had already hit the hot pot in Wang Sheng's hand. The crossbow bolt was abnormally sharp. With a shake of Wang Sheng's hand, the crossbow bolt had already pierced through the top and bottom 2 layers of the hot pot, nailing itself into Wang Sheng's chest. However, at this point, the arrow could not advance any further and stop just like that. Everyone thought that the crossbow bolt had pierced through the 2 layers of metal and was at the end of its flight. But only Wang Sheng knew that the liquid bulletproof vest had saved his life again. At this moment, the last 3 bullets had also shot in front of the old man, but the old man did not dodge. His left hand flashed 3 times like a ghost, and the 3 bullets were caught in his hand. At the same time, the old man gently pushed with his right hand, and the corpse of the dead young assassin flew towards Wang Sheng like a cannonball. As for the old man himself, as if he had become weightless, he stuck close to the young assassin's corpse and floated towards Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng's figure also quickly retreated, but the old man's cultivation was too high, and the speed at which Wang Sheng retreated could not even keep up with the speed of the corpse that the old man had pushed towards him. Bang! Wang Sheng and the corpse collided, and Wang Sheng felt as if he had been hit by a wall. His whole body involuntarily flew up, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. An extremely thin spike mysteriously pierced through the armpit of the corpse and accurately pierced towards Wang Sheng's chest. The tip of the spike seemed to have touched Wang Sheng, and the face of the old assassin also revealed a trace of a sneer, as if he had succeeded. Bang! The spike hit a very tough object, and the momentum of the old assassin's forward thrust was actually blocked. No matter how much strength the old assassin exerted, he could only push Wang Sheng back, and the spike could not pierce into Wang Sheng's body at all. The old assassin did not believe this, and opened his left hand, and 3 bullets whistled towards Wang Sheng's head. The distance was too close, and just as Wang Sheng's head was about to be pierced, a colorful steel helmet suddenly appeared on Wang Sheng's head, and with 3 clanging sounds, the 3 bullets all hit Wang Sheng's steel helmet. The young assassin's corpse had already fallen to the ground, and was no longer an obstacle between Wang Sheng and the old assassin, and the old assassin finally saw where his spike had pierced. It was a roll of skin from an unknown demonic beast, and at a glance, it was obviously rolled up and stored in a storage ring. In a hurry, Wang Sheng took it out and pressed it against the tip of the spike, and the old assassin's spike unexpectedly could not pierce through. There was no need to look. This was definitely the skin of a high-level demonic beast. Otherwise, it could not have such a powerful effect. But Wang Sheng's cultivation was still too low, and although the spike did not pierce into his body, the force was transmitted to Wang Sheng's body. Puff! Another mouthful of blood. Wang Sheng did not forget to attack, even when he vomited blood, and a mouthful of blood directly sprayed towards the old assassin's face. The old assassin was very experienced, and how could he care about Wang Sheng's trick of confusing the enemy? A mouthful of blood directly sprayed on his face, but the old assassin did not even blink, and the spike directly pressed against Wang Sheng's body and directly pushed against the wall not far behind Wang Sheng. The old assassin had this confidence that even if he could not pierce through Wang Sheng's body, such a collision would be able to end Wang Sheng's life. Moreover, the moment he made his move, there were already 3 other assassins who cooperated with him and rushed towards Wang Sheng. Seeing that the old assassin was about to succeed, Wang Sheng's back was only 4 or 5 meters away from that side of the wall, and the matter would be over in a second or 2 at most, but a smile appeared on Wang Sheng's bloody face. Inner City. Wang Sheng said these 3 words with a smile, and the M200 appeared in Wang Sheng's hand at some point, and the muzzle was already pressed against the old assassin's chest, and then Wang Sheng pulled the trigger. Chapter 143. Even though the corner of Wang Sheng's mouth was still bleeding when he spoke, and he looked as pathetic as he could be. These 3 words were like a clap of thunder, ringing in the ears of the people around him. Bang! A true clap of thunder followed closely behind. A bloody hole suddenly appeared on the back of the valiant old assassin, and a metal pellet flew toward a certain wall without losing any momentum. When the old assassin moved, the other 3 assassins around him moved as well. The other unrelated people looked on as if they were watching a show. Anyone who had lived in the Carefree City for a period of time would know that outsiders must have hired assassins to kill the people who had escaped into the Carefree City. This was not a rare occurrence, as it happened at least once a month. However, when Wang Sheng's voice rang out, everyone's eyes were directly fixed on Wang Sheng's feet. They did not even see how the old assassin's chest had exploded. Wang Sheng's feet had already stepped on the other end of the red line, which was the inner city. The inner city of the Carefree City did not allow outsiders to seek revenge and kill people. This was the rule, and it was also the most fundamental reason why the people of the Carefree City racked their brains to enter the inner city. This rule was not upheld by the Carefree City Lord alone, nor was it upheld by the experts who called themselves the military. It was upheld by every single person in the Carefree City. The inner city was the dream of all the people who had escaped into the Carefree City, and no one was allowed to destroy this dream. One of the 3 young assassins who had cooperated with the old assassin rushed over from the other end of the blacksmith shop. He was already in the air, and the sword in his hand was about to stab at Wang Sheng's throat. Suddenly, a large hammer flew out from the blacksmith shop and accurately smashed into the assassin's head. Pooh! The flying assassin's body was directly stopped by the hammer, and his head instantly turned into a bloody meatball. The second assassin followed closely behind the old assassin, and the thin sword in his hand was about to stab into Wang Sheng's chest from below the old assassin's ribs. But suddenly, a noose flew out from behind and accurately wrapped around the old assassin's neck. The assassin's charging body maintained its forward momentum, but only his legs were moving forward. His neck and head were rapidly retreating. In the process of retreating, a cracking sound could be heard from his neck. It was obviously broken. The third assassin was obviously scared out of his wits. He was the furthest away, and his speed was also the slowest. He could clearly see the situation of the first 2 assassins. In fact, when he heard Wang Sheng mention the inner city, he had already realized that something was wrong. As smart as he was, he didn't continue to charge forward. Instead, he turned around and ran. However, he had only taken 2 steps when he bumped into someone. That person was much thinner than him, but his strength was much greater than him. He was directly knocked into the air, and before he landed, at least 13 cold lights flew over and pierced through his body. When he landed, he immediately became a dead man. The M200's 404 bullets were still flying through the air. The old killer's body was not as tough as a 300mm uniform steel plate. Even after being pierced, he was still able to fly. But the next moment, the bullet was caught by a skinny hand. The moment he grabbed the bullet, his hand trembled slightly before returning to normal. Wang Sheng's figure was still flying backward, and he was just a hair's breadth away from crashing into the wall. This was the old killer's dying counterattack. With Wang Sheng's current physical condition, this hit would at least take away half of his life. However, Wang Sheng didn't crash into the wall. 2 hands caught him from behind. Not only that, the owner of the hands directly smashed through the wall for Wang Sheng and slowly brought Wang Sheng's body to a stop. Because the deceleration time was enough, Wang Sheng didn't suffer any more damage. Wang Sheng felt the kindness of the owner of the hands behind him. Unfortunately, he didn't know any Tai Chi techniques, or he wouldn't have used such a stupid method like crashing through the wall. Regardless, Wang Sheng was still very grateful to the person behind him. If it wasn't for him, he would probably be in a tragedy. The M200 had already been put back into the storage ring. It only appeared for a moment, fired, and then disappeared. When most people were paying attention to the position under Wang Sheng's feet, very few people saw the M200 clearly. "Kid, you're not dead, right?" An unfamiliar voice came from behind. After putting Wang Sheng down, that person walked up to Wang Sheng. It was an unfamiliar, burly man that Wang Sheng had never seen before. "Thank you." Wang Sheng smiled at the other party. "I'm not dead yet." "You're welcome." The burly man squeezed out a smile. There was a long scar on his face, from the corner of his eye to the corner of his mouth. It was unknown whether it was cut or cut, but his smile was extremely ugly. "No one can kill people in the inner city." To be honest, this was the sentence that Wang Sheng heard the most today. No one can kill people in the inner city. It was precisely because of this sentence that Wang Sheng was able to survive the simultaneous attacks of the 4 assassins, including the old killer. Wang Sheng loved this sentence to death. Blacksmith De Zhu walked out of his smithy. He picked up the sledgehammer that he had just thrown out with one hand and grabbed the leg of the assassin that he had smashed to death with his other hand. Then, he casually threw the corpse into the smithy. He was the one who killed the assassin, so the spoils of war naturally belonged to him. Similarly, the owner of the noose also slowly put away the noose and dragged the corpse to his side. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he began to search the body. As for the 3rd assassin that was killed by a group of people, it was more troublesome. It was estimated that a few people would need to discuss it together. The burly man enthusiastically helped Wang Sheng to throw the bodies of the 1st assassin and the old killer to his side. Looking at the large hole in the chest and back of the old killer, he looked at Wang Sheng with a strange gaze, as if wondering how Wang Sheng had caused such a terrifying injury. However, the burly man only looked at him and did not ask anything. Everyone had their own secrets, and there were many people in the worry-free city who escaped to protect their own secrets. Asking a question could lead to a life and death enmity with the other party. The person who caught the bullet from Wang Sheng's sniper rifle was a seemingly ordinary skinny man. He did not say anything, and did not even look in Wang Sheng's direction. He just walked away, minding his own business. However, Wang Sheng could clearly see that the man's hand was tightly clenching the bullet. He would definitely take it back to study it. Wang Sheng took out a few healing pills from his storage ring, and took 2 to relieve the intense pain in his chest. Then, he leaned against the wall and sat down to rest. He was currently in the inner city, and no one would dare to make a move here. The outcome of the person who made a move was already an example for everyone. Without waiting for the lord of the worry-free city and the soldiers to arrive, the assassins who had violated everyone's taboo would be directly killed by the surrounding people. The ultimate dream of everyone in the worry-free city could not be destroyed by anyone. Chapter 144. Who would want to kill him at this time? Wang Sheng couldn't be sure for the time being, but one thing was certain: it must be those people who didn't want Wang Sheng to disclose the secret of his spirit base upgrade. It was really funny. Those people didn't even know what Wang Sheng was going to announce. Why were they so afraid of him saying it? Looking at the corpse of the old killer in front of him, Wang Sheng began to feel fear. Every time Wang Sheng escaped from death, there would be a moment of fear. This was human instinct and couldn't be resisted. The difference was that Wang Sheng was absolutely calm at the time of the incident. Even if he was afraid, it was after the matter was over. The old killer was very strong. The Glock 17 couldn't do anything to him at close range. The 3 bullets he had casually tossed out had left 3 small dents on Wang Sheng's helmet. Even now, Wang Sheng's head was still ringing. Fortunately, the sniper rifle was pressed against his chest, preventing him from escaping. However, the sight of the thin man catching the sniper rifle's bullet with one hand, as if he was catching a fly, struck fear in Wang Sheng's heart. Wang Sheng couldn't see the cultivation level of this old killer, but it was estimated that it was not lower than the 3rd realm. The skinny man couldn't see it, but Wang Sheng could already think that perhaps after a certain realm, his sniper rifle was afraid that it would not be of much use. This was the last 6 bullets he had, and he had fired all of them. This also meant that from now on, the Glock 17 had become a piece of scrap iron. The equipment that Wang Sheng brought from Earth had become less and less, and he was afraid that it would not be of much use against a strong enemy. The people of Carefree City would help Wang Sheng kill the enemy, but they would not help him more. Wang Sheng could only sit on the wall and slowly recover. The incident happened on the street of the Assassin's Hall. The city lord's mansion, Baoqing Yutang, and the people of the imperial treasury came quickly, but it was Bao Qing Yu Tang's people who were close by. After the shopkeeper brought a few people to protect Wang Sheng, the city lord's mansion and the imperial treasury rushed over. At a time like this, no one dared to be careless. Bao Qing Yu Tang and the imperial treasury were both in the outer city. It was hard to guarantee that no one would take the opportunity to assassinate them. Therefore, Bao Qing Yu Tang simply sent Wang Sheng back to his house. The inner city was still safe. As for the people of the imperial treasure house, they had quickly gone to invite the old imperial doctor and the alchemist. The people of the city lord manor were furious, especially the lord butler who had rushed over upon hearing the news. If Wang Sheng were to be killed at this critical moment, regardless of whether he was killed in the outer city or not, the housekeeper would not have a good ending. Investigate. It was just a simple word, but it contained the Lord Butler's monstrous anger. Countless experts began to run around, investigating the details and origins of those assassins. The things on the two assassins killed by Wang Sheng had been taken out by the shopkeeper of Bao Qing Yu Tang in front of Wang Sheng. The bodies were left to the Lord Butler. The shopkeeper brought a few people and carefully sent Wang Sheng back to the house. The old imperial doctor and the alchemist invited by the imperial treasury also rushed over and checked Wang Sheng's pulse. After a lot of noise, they came to a conclusion. Internal injury. There was nothing to say. Wang Sheng vomited 2 mouthfuls of blood on the spot. His chest and abdomen were still hurting, and his head was buzzing. It would be strange if he did not have internal injuries. There was no immediate effect pill for this kind of injury. It could only be slowly recuperated. The pill that Wang Sheng had taken before was the right one, so there was no need to change it. In their view, Wang Sheng's body was getting weaker and weaker. Even if there was a good tonic, it could not be used casually. Finally, the old imperial doctor and the alchemist also left. The shopkeeper of Bao Qing Yu Tang left 2 maids to serve him, and also left Wang Sheng's house. This was the inner city. No one dared to kill people here, especially those who had a name and a background that could be traced. It was even more impossible to violate the rules. The Lord Butler came over in person and comforted Wang Sheng before leaving. Wang Sheng was finally able to calm down and recuperate in peace. Wang Sheng's side was finally settled, but in another secret place in the inner city, a group of experts were studying the 2 bodies killed by Wang Sheng. The young assassin was shot 3 times. The first shot in the chest had no effect, and the fatal wound was the gunshot wound in the eyes. The warheads of 2 pistol bullets had been dug out, and the other 4 warheads were also found and sent here for analysis. The old assassin's body was also there, and the wound on his chest was exposed in front of the group of experts. Not only that, the sniper rifle bullets that were caught by the skinny man were also examined together with the handgun bullets. These 6 bullets were fired from a small object. The person who spoke was the skinny man who caught the sniper rifle bullets. At this moment, he was holding a piece of animal skin and introducing it to everyone. On the animal skin, there was a simple drawing of a handgun, high-quality iron material, already deformed medium power. The one who was killed was at the early stage of the 3rd-degree realm, killed in 2 shots. The Dai family's Dai Huan, who was supposedly killed by Wang Sheng, seems to have been killed by something like this. Someone immediately brought up. At that time, when the Song and Dai family sent people to kill Wang Sheng, they also found people from Carefree City to identify the hidden weapons. The person who spoke was one of the people who went to do that. Today, the few who killed him are not from Carefree City. The Lord Butler was also among them, and he first reported the results of his investigation. This old man's cultivation is at least at the 5th-degree realm. Everyone looked at the hole in the old assassin's chest and felt a chill in their hearts. A 5th-stage realm expert was actually killed by a mediocre ordinary person. Just how powerful was the weapon in Wang Sheng's hands? I didn't see the long one clearly. I only saw that it was very long. The skinny man was at the scene and was blocked by the old assassin, so he didn't see what the M200 looked like, but he could tell that it was a long one. The thing that was fired is very powerful. This thing is amazing. The skinny man picked up the sniper rifle bullet and showed it to everyone. A few blacksmiths have seen it, but they couldn't identify what material it is. It's definitely not just any ordinary high-quality steel. I tested it. It's heavy and hard. If it was used on the edge of a dagger, it would be a good weapon. Armor-piercing bullets were usually made with high density and hardness. There was no accurate chemical analysis in this world, so they could only determine that it was some kind of metal, but not the specific material. After this thing pierced through this guy, I caught it. The skinny man continued. I felt the power in it. It's very strong. I roughly estimated that a fifth-degree realm expert wouldn't be able to resist it. The skinny man's cultivation was not low, and his status was not low either. His words were authoritative. The good news is that if a sixth-degree realm expert is wearing a good armor, coupled with spiritual chi protection, they will be safe. Above the sixth-degree realm, this thing will not be a threat to us. That's good. The Lord Butler's expression was unprecedentedly heavy, as if he had heaved a long sigh. I just don't know how many of those things he has left. Chapter 145. Wang Sheng seemed to have fallen into a deep sleep. The two maids sent by Bao Qing Yutang were well behaved. They just stood guard in Wang Sheng's room and did not move around. In the soul space, it was unprecedentedly lively. Thousands of little cheese kisses were frantically swallowing the external spiritual energy from Wang Sheng's body. Since Wang Sheng swallowed the first huge rock, Wang Sheng's kisses didn't have much use in swallowing external spiritual energy, so Wang Sheng stopped using this method. That was when they were in Linchuan City. But now, the attack of the elderly killer had caused Wang Sheng to vomit blood, and these little cheese kisses were energized and swallowed the spiritual energy in big mouthfuls. The elderly killer was a fifth-degree realm killer. Before this, Wang Sheng had never been hit by a third-degree realm expert, so he never knew that the little cheese kisses like the spiritual energy attacks of higher realm experts. Fifth-degree realm experts meant that their spiritual energy had gone through at least 5 transformations. The quality was high, and compared to those first- and second-degree realm experts, they were on a completely different level. This was one of the reasons why the little cheese kisses swallowed so easily. Wang Sheng's injury was indeed serious, but under the crazy swallowing of the little cheese kisses, the external spiritual energy that caused Wang Sheng's injury was slowly disappearing, becoming a tonic for the little cheese kisses. The reason why internal injuries caused by spiritual energy attacks were difficult to heal was because of the foreign spiritual energy that had accumulated in the body. Once the foreign spiritual energy was gone, the body would simply recover. With the help of elixirs, recovery was absolutely not a problem. Each little cheese kiss could only swallow 1 strand, but with more than 1,000 of them added up, the foreign spiritual energy in Wang Sheng's body had completely disappeared by the next morning. Wang Sheng's complexion was also much better than before he went to sleep yesterday. This time the injury did not cause any fractures, but his internal organs were shaken and he vomited blood. As long as he recuperated for a period of time, he would be able to recover completely. There was no need to worry about any sequelae. Early in the morning, Wang Sheng met an unexpected guest, Song Yan's loyal butler, Song Laoyu. It wasn't done by our Song family, Song Laoyu said as soon as she saw Wang Sheng. Speaking of this, the people who wanted to prevent Wang Sheng from revealing the secret of his spirit-raising secret were the Song family's biggest suspects. This was because Wang Sheng had only told Song Yan and Old Yu about the key points. Of course, they did not believe him at that time. However, from Wang Sheng's point of view, since Song Yan and Song Laoyu knew about it, it was normal for them to keep it a secret. What was even more coincidental was that Song Laoyu had arrived at Carefree City the day before. The Song family was the perfect scapegoat. The Song family had just arrived at Worry-Free City, and Wang Sheng had met with an accident. What could be more coincidental than this? Therefore, Song Laoyu came early in the morning to explain. He had wanted to come last night, but was stopped outside. Wang Sheng had just recuperated from his injuries, so it was not appropriate to meet Wang Sheng immediately. If the Song family were to attack him face to face, wouldn't the entire Carefree City lose its face? Even when they met this time, Song Laoyu had been accompanied by Wang Sheng's neighbor, Isley, 7th grade killer Song Laoyu was just a third-stage realm junior. The moment he made a move, Isley would turn Song Laoyu into a popsicle. I know, Wang Sheng, who was lying on the bed, said to Song Laoyu. He believed that Song Yin would not do such a meaningless thing, and also believed that the Song family's elders would not be so short-sighted. Grand Elder said that you are our Song family's son-in-law. Song Laoyu was straightforward. He was just here to pass the message. It was not his, but the only person in the Song family who could speak to Wang Sheng was either Song Yin or him. Song Yin was now in closed-door cultivation, so Song Laoyu could only make the trip. In addition, Eldest Miss said that she will wait for the day you can come out of Carefree City. Song Laoyu was loyal to Song Yin, even if it was not for the family. Just because Song Yin wanted to pass a message to Wang Sheng, he would still rush over. Wang Sheng nodded his head noncommittally. In truth, Wang Sheng wasn't moved by Song Yin's words. After all, the relationship between Wang Sheng and Song Yin wasn't that good. At that time, Song Yin said that he was her fiancé, which was obviously a shield. Now, if the Song family wanted to prove it, it would not be that easy. Song Laoyu was very straightforward. After saying these few words, he turned around and left without stopping. But in fact, Song Laoyu's first sentence had already pointed the suspicion towards the other family who had enmity with Wang Sheng, the Dai family. But Wang Sheng did not have time to ponder over it, because the city lord's butler was here. He left right after Song Laoyu. In fact, Wang Sheng even suspected that the butler lived next door and was eavesdropping on the commotion. The Song family is really calculative. Since they admitted that you are their son-in-law, why did they still send people to kill you? The butler did not hide the fact that he was eavesdropping, nor did he feel embarrassed at all. He snorted coldly and said, "Brother, although I can't say that I always have to be careful of others, I can't trust everyone either." "Thank you, brother." Wang Sheng smiled at the butler, but it affected the injury on his chest, causing him to groan. "It's nothing." The butler gestured to Wang Sheng that there was no need for formalities. "Just focus on recuperating. In the inner city, no one will dare to touch you. When I find out the identity of those who attacked you, I will help you get back at them." In other words, it had already been a night, but they still had not found out the identity of those who attacked you. This was normal. After all, the assassin's rank was a means to earn money. Why would they really record the true identity of the assassins? Unless it was someone like Wang Sheng, whose name shook the world, most of the assassins in Carefree City did not have any identity. "Thank you, brother." Wang Sheng appreciated the kindness and thanked him. The butler said a few polite words, asked about Wang Sheng's current injury, and turned to leave. "Big bro," Wang Sheng called out to the butler before he could leave. The butler stopped in his tracks and looked at Wang Sheng with a puzzled expression. However, Wang Sheng did not say a word. The butler understood and waved his hand to signal the two maids to leave. After the two maids left, the butler looked at Wang Sheng and signaled for him to continue. During this period of time, brothers should look for more methods to cultivate some special source spirits from hundreds of years ago. Wang Sheng returned the favor and gave the butler a chance to fight for an opportunity. The more complete, the better. Finally, he added, "It might be of some help." The butler was a smart man and nodded without hesitation. Wang Sheng was blatantly telling him that the secret must be related to one of the ancient methods to cultivate source spirits. If he could not even understand this, then there was no need for him to mingle. With a heart full of joy, the butler left. Wang Sheng also closed his eyes to rest. Not long later, he heard the sound of two maids coming in, but he did not care. This was the inner city of Carefree City, and it was enough for him to be at ease. "So sneaky. What did you say to that old fox?" Wang Sheng was resting with his eyes closed when he suddenly heard a familiar voice. It was the voice of the female owner of Bao Qing Yutang. Chapter 146. When he opened his eyes, Wang Sheng saw the female owner, who was still wearing a veil, sitting not far from him and looking at him. Wang Sheng was stunned for a moment before he laughed. For her to appear here, it was really not strange at all. The two maids were originally arranged by Bao Qing Yutang. It was not difficult for him to secretly send a female owner over. What are you laughing at? The female owner seemed to be very angry. She grumbled angrily. I couldn't tell that you're doing quite well in Carefree City. You're doing quite well. You're even on good terms with the city lord's butler. Unfortunately, Bao Qing Yutang, do not have any long-legged beauties that you like. I can only let you down, pervert. Her words were full of mockery and ridicule. At the same time, she also ridiculed Wang Sheng's reputation of liking long legs. Everything clearly showed that the female owner was very unhappy. It's fine. Wang Sheng smiled like a rascal. I don't have any long-legged beauties, but I like those with big breasts and slender waists. He looked straight at the female owner and smiled. The female owner's eyes immediately lit up. Her figure was very good, especially the pair of towering peaks in front of her chest. It had always made her proud and frustrated. Now that Wang Sheng actually had designs on her body, how could she not be angry? However, her anger only lasted for 2 seconds. She rolled her eyes and extinguished it. Suddenly, a seductive smile appeared on her face. She looked at Wang Sheng and said, "It's good that you like it. How about I give you a few of your favorite beauties with big breasts and slender waists, and you give me the Carefree City Spice business?" Sure. Wang Sheng did not have any stance and directly agreed. Go and discuss with the city lord. If he agrees, I have no objections. The seductive smile disappeared in the blink of an eye. The female owner only snorted coldly and did not continue this topic. What a joke. If she could get the city lord to agree, what was the point of discussing with Wang Sheng? He had already kicked Wang Sheng away. However, this coldness only lasted for a moment or two. In the blink of an eye, the owner's eyes became seductive again. Her beautiful eyes were filled with emotion, causing Wang Sheng to be shocked. She was still wearing a veil. Just her eyes alone could make people feel this way. If she really took off the veil, how soul-stirring would it be? The spice business is a big business. I won't get involved. The female host moved closer to Wang Sheng, and the fragrance of her body drifted over. But I saw that the city lord seemed to have missed out on something. Her beautiful eyes stared at Wang Sheng's face to see if there was anything unusual about Wang Sheng. Of course, Wang Sheng wouldn't show anything. He just looked at the female host calmly. She wanted to use this method to seduce him. He had to admit that the veiled female host was very attractive. Her identity was also very tempting. However, the female host cultivation was still lacking. Just that little bit was not enough to pry open the guard in Wang Sheng's heart. What little thing? Wang Sheng smiled, which caused the injury on his chest to hurt. He stopped smiling and asked, "Salt." The female host didn't hesitate to state her goal. The braised meat tastes good, but other than the spices, there must be salt. The city lord didn't notice it, but I did. Can you hand over the refined salt business to me, Bao Qing Yutang? What do I get in return? Wang Sheng was very direct. He didn't say yes or no. He wanted to talk about the conditions first. I'll give you a few beauties. If you want long legs, I'll give you long legs. If you want big breasts, I'll give you big breasts. How about it? The female host rolled her eyes and stated her conditions. Forget it. Wang Sheng didn't even bother to shake his head. He directly rejected. If you give me beauties, I'll have to take care of them. It's tiring. Unless there's someone with a high net worth and a large dowry. Then I can consider it. As he spoke, Wang Sheng's gaze was already sizing up the female host's body. His eyes were especially focused on the female host's magnificent chest. His eyes seemed to be able to see through the female host's clothes. Being stared at by Wang Sheng's invasive gaze, the female host felt as if she was sitting naked in front of Wang Sheng. She was shocked, and her face instantly turned red. Her hands couldn't help but cover her chest. She raised her head and saw Wang Sheng's playful smile. The female host instantly became angry. She put down her hands and purposely puffed out her chest. She snorted provocatively. However, she didn't realize that her action was a feast for Wang Sheng's eyes. In your dreams, pervert. After saying this, the female host turned her head to the side. If there's no benefit, why should I agree to it? Wang Sheng wasn't angry. He lazily asked, "You're not anyone to me. At least Song Yin has always acknowledged that she's my fiancée." If you let our Bao Qing Yu Tang handle the secret that you're selling, I can guarantee that you'll earn at least twice as much. How about it? The female host turned her head and said seriously. This was a real condition. It all depended on whether Wang Sheng would agree or not. What do I need so many gold coins for? Hearing this condition, Wang Sheng seemed to be too lazy to talk about it. He lazily asked, "Do you think I'm still lacking gold coins?" The female host was instantly speechless. Based on Wang Sheng's performance in Carefree City these days, it felt like he really wasn't lacking money. How could she not know that? However, she couldn't think of anything that could move Wang Sheng. If you can find the pill of fortune, I can give you the refined salt. Wang Sheng took the initiative to state his condition. However, this condition was clearly higher than Bao Qing Yutang's expectations. The female host immediately fell silent. She couldn't guarantee the pill of fortune. What if I can help you find out who wants to assassinate you? The female host suddenly asked after a long silence. Then I'll be very grateful. However, I don't wish for your Bao Qing Yu Tang to fight for this refined salt business. Wang Sheng answered honestly. Why? The female host was puzzled. She raised her head and asked, because your Bao Qing Yu Tang is not bad. I don't want to see you guys get destroyed. Wang Sheng's words shocked the female host to death. He continued, you guys already have the sugar business. If you want to seize the world's salt profits, you'll be courting death. There's nothing wrong with doing a big business, but you can't do something that will cost you your life. Wang Sheng really didn't have any ulterior motives. He only had good intentions. In the history of China on Earth, the salt and iron business had always been managed by the state. It was the lifeline of the people's livelihood. How could it be casually controlled by a merchant? Before Wang Sheng traveled to this world, salt was monopolized by the state. How could such a thing be simple in this world? It was a pity that Wang Sheng's words were in vain. The female host's eyes clearly revealed a kind of unwillingness. Looking at her expression, it seemed like she really wanted to find a way to touch this damn thing. Chapter 147. As you know, we, Bao Qing Yutang, have business dealings with Pavilion of Delicacy. The female owner felt that she might not be able to get Wang Sheng's refined salt production method just based on this. So she added, among them, there are 2 grandmasters who specialize in making armors. Wang Sheng was obviously tempted. He didn't say a word, but his eyes indicated to the female owner to continue. Yesterday, when you were assassinated, what was the last piece of leather that blocked the assassin's stab? The female owner and Wang Sheng had done business a few times, so she asked directly, what realm is it in? It said to be a 6-star Night Star Wolf. Wang Sheng didn't hide it. Many people had seen that scene, and many people knew that he had an item from a 6th-stage realm demonic beast, so it wasn't a secret, it's an adult one, and it's said to be in the 6th-stage realm. I can invite one of the grandmasters to help you make an armor out of your 6-star Night Star Wolf's leather. How about that? The female owner said solemnly. Wang Sheng started to ponder, considering the pros and cons. To be honest, an armor made from 6th-stage realm demonic beast leather was definitely not bad. With the protection of the liquid bulletproof vest, Wang Sheng wouldn't need to worry about any attacks from experts below the 5th-stage realm for a long period of time. However, Wang Sheng had to consider other things. Isn't it very hot to wear a leather protective gear in the middle of summer? Wang Sheng asked a question that had nothing to do with protection, and it was also a way to bargain. Do you think the grandmasters of Pavilion of Delicacy are those idiots who can be found on the streets to make protective gear? The female owner's eyes revealed a look of disdain when she heard this question. Wang Sheng couldn't see her expression, but he could imagine it. When the grandmasters make a move, they naturally won't be alone. They will have the help of an array master. Seeing that Wang Sheng didn't understand, the female owner simply explained, the protective gear will definitely have a warm in winter and cool in summer array, and at the same time, there will be a protective array. As long as you use some spiritual energy to maintain the operation of the array, when you wear it, it will be fine. With this explanation, Wang Sheng immediately realized that this was definitely something good. It wasn't as hot as wearing a bulletproof vest, and it came with its own protection. It was definitely a good thing. I'll provide the raw materials and the pattern. Help me make a set of clothes and boots. Wang Sheng immediately made his decision. Along with the identities of those assassins, as well as the information on high-level source spirit species and characteristics, I can give you the refined salt method. Really, the female host didn't expect that Wang Sheng would really agree. She thought that she would have to pay a higher price. She didn't expect it to be so simple. However, after asking, the female owner realized that the last condition that Wang Sheng added seemed to be a bit unusual. She hurriedly asked, "What kind of information?" The known 7-star and above source spirits, their characteristics, and what powerful methods the cultivators have. It would be best to have a representative of each. Wang Sheng tried his best to make detailed requests, hiding what he really wanted in the huge amount of information and not revealing his true purpose. I'm afraid that there might not be a suitable representative. The female owner thought for a long time and didn't think that there was any trap in Wang Sheng's words. However, she still subconsciously explained in advance. Maybe some are already dead, or maybe some are just guesses. No one knows if they are accurate or not. The dead can also be listed, but try to write clearly how powerful this person was when he was alive. Wang Sheng relaxed the conditions a little, then looked at the female owner, waiting for her reply. Okay, this time, the female owner didn't say anything more and nodded directly. If possible, try to let me explain the requirements to the grandmaster that you want to hire. Wang Sheng made another request that wasn't really a request, but he didn't say it so firmly. Of course, if it really doesn't work, find someone who knows how to listen to me first, then let him pass it on to the grandmaster. Okay, this wasn't a problem. It wasn't even considered as making things difficult. The female owner immediately agreed without hesitation. I'll wait for you to bring it to me. Wang Sheng smiled at the female owner. Once my injuries are healed, I'll immediately do it for you. A simple deal was reached just like that. The female owner left very satisfied. No one knew that just a simple conversation between the two of them would decide a big business related to the national economy and people's livelihood. When the female owner and Wang Sheng were talking about business, the maid of Bao Qing Yutang took the initiative to leave the room and stand guard outside. Only when the female owner left did she come in to serve. It was very interesting that Wang Sheng still didn't know the female owner's name. This woman with a pair of seductive eyes, who was always covered with a veil, Wang Sheng had no idea what her name was or what she looked like. However, Wang Sheng was sure that if he was in the crowd, he would definitely be able to recognize her. After spending half a day recuperating in peace, Wang Sheng had no choice but to receive guests again in the afternoon. It was LV Wenho and Ling from the Imperial Treasury, in addition to a few servants. Interestingly, when LV Wenho came over, he also brought the set of cooking utensils that Wang Sheng made in the big pillar blacksmith shop. He even made a new hot pot that was used to block crossbow bolts when he was assassinated, polished it, and brought it over. Of course, there were also the gold coins that LV Wenho brought over. This seemed to have become a rule for Wang Sheng to buy things. These things seemed to be used for cooking. LV Wenho simply asked about Wang Sheng's body, and then turned the topic to the pile of cooking utensils that Wang Sheng ordered. I can't help you much here, so I helped you find a few cooks. It's inconvenient for you to eat since you're injured. If you want to eat something, just tell them. If Brother Wang is willing to give them a few pointers, that would be even better. In the future, I will be able to eat something good. Unlike the female owner of the Baoqing Yutang shop who came to talk business with Wang Sheng, LV Wenho seemed to treat Wang Sheng as a friend. Even the people sent over were to take care of Wang Sheng's desire for good food. Of course, they did not rule out the opportunity to let Wang Sheng point out the use of those cooking utensils. The things that Wang Sheng customized would not be useless. This was a consensus in the worry-free city. If the two chefs of the Imperial Treasury could learn in advance, it would also be a lot of benefits for the Imperial Treasury. LV Wenho was a person who made people feel comfortable. He didn't hide his intentions and directly stated his purpose. But he did not give people a feeling of exchange. It was the kind of feeling that friends get along with. If it weren't for Ling on not giving Wang Sheng a good face from the beginning to the end, the meeting between Wang Sheng and LV Wenho could be described as perfect. Of course, there was no such thing as perfection, so when Wenho left, he also felt a little regret. Chapter 148. His physical recovery ability is very terrifying. In the car of the Imperial Treasury, Linger told Wenho the results of her observation. Yesterday's injury was very serious, but today he can sit and talk happily. I didn't hear that he has any peerless panacea. Maybe this is one of the things he can rely on to enter and exit the place of despair. Wenho also pondered for a while, nodded and said, I just don't know if his body is really weak. Elder Han and Elder Deng will not be wrong. Linger gave a very firm conclusion. Elder Han and Elder Deng were the old imperial doctors and alchemists invited by the Imperial Treasury. They would never make a mistake in a consultation. In addition, this conclusion was not only made by the old imperial doctors and the alchemists, but also by the soul refiner and the poison master. One person may make a mistake, but the possibility of 4 people making a mistake together is not high. Moreover, Elder Han and Elder Deng were invited by the Imperial Treasury, and it was impossible for them to help Wang Sheng cover up anything. The soul refiner was also one of the bodyguards of Wenho, so he absolutely believed it. As for the poison master, the city lord's mansion seemed to have no reason to help Wang Sheng hide anything. That's interesting. Wenho laughed. A person who is weak has such a good recovery ability. There are a lot of things that can be done. Since I'm going to keep an eye on him, don't let go of his every move. Ling immediately became excited. As long as she could deal with Wang Sheng, she would be very happy. This guy made her feel very embarrassed. She had always thought that she knew everything in the world, but she always suffered losses in front of Wang Sheng, so she hated him very much. Not to mention the spices and braised meat that appeared in the past 2 days, Linger was very unconvinced. It was obviously a pile of medicinal materials sold in a medicine shop, but it turned into spices. Moreover, the braised meat was indeed unique, which made Linger, who knew the characteristics of each medicinal material, very confused and very embarrassed. No, Wenho shook his head. Let the 2 cooks take care of it carefully and serve Wang Sheng like me. After saying this, Wenho saw Linger pout her lips. He couldn't help but laugh and say, We are not enemies. Don't treat him like an enemy. Although she was unwilling, Linger would not go against Wenho's words. She could only nod her head in dissatisfaction. In the following days, Wang Sheng was free. The 2 chefs invited by Wenho were indeed famous chefs. Their culinary skills were absolutely superb. While Wang Sheng was recuperating, he didn't want to eat meat or fish, so they could make the porridge that Wang Sheng requested. In short, everything was done according to Wang Sheng's requirements, and it was very convenient to give instructions. Over the next few days, all the major clans sent people over with invitations. Basically, what each family wanted to express was more or less the same. They all said that the previous pursuit was a misunderstanding, and they hoped to bury the hatchet with Wang Sheng. Even the initiators, the Dai clan and the Shi clan, had the same idea. In front of the secret of Thousand Despair, what did the lives of a few juniors in the family matter? When the day came and they grasped the secret of Thousand Despair, it would not be too late to settle the score with Wang Sheng. Now, of course, they had to build a good relationship with Wang Sheng. In order to express their sincerity, the major clans even said that they had already canceled the bounty on Wang Sheng's head. As long as Wang Sheng was willing, he could leave Carefree City at any time. The major clans would not make a move against Wang Sheng. Of course, this was only the attitude expressed in the invitations. As for whether it was true or not, no one knew. Perhaps Wang Sheng could leave Carefree City and try, but at this time, Wang Sheng did not want to use his life to test this. Without the accumulation of external spiritual energy, Wang Sheng's injuries healed very quickly. Other than healing pills, Wang Sheng's soul space constantly absorbed spiritual energy to nourish Wang Sheng's body, slowly healing his injured body. In just a short period of 7 days, Wang Sheng did not need to lie on the bed all the time and could walk a few steps on the ground. Since then, Wang Sheng spent most of his time lying on his custom-made rocking chair. It looked like he was resting with his eyes closed, but in fact he was using the external spiritual energy of a fifth-degree realm expert to visualize the delicacies he had eaten on Earth. With his injuries, it was not realistic for Wang Sheng to make those delicacies himself. Even if he made them, they could not be eaten. So even if the efficiency was low, Wang Sheng continued to visualize and recover. Bao Qing Yutang's actions were very fast. On the 10th day, the female owner accompanied a middle-aged lady and appeared in front of Wang Sheng. This time, Bao Qing Yutang paid a huge price. This middle-aged lady with the surname Wang was the Grand Master of Exquisite Pavilion, who made protective gear. If you have any requests, you can raise them to Master Wang face-to-face. The female owner introduced the Grandmaster with the surname Wang in a serious manner. She addressed her as Master Wang. This name gave Wang Sheng an indescribable feeling. A female Grandmaster actually had to respectfully address her as Master Wang. Master Wang will settle the Central Plains in the north. That Master Wang sounded awkward. But when they started to talk about business, this feeling disappeared. Master Wang wanted to see the leather first. Of course, Wang Sheng had no objections. Not only did he take out the complete leather of the 6-star Night Star Wolf, he also took out the fanged swine's hind leg leather. Good stuff. When she opened it and saw such a complete Night Star Wolf skin, Master Wang let out a sound of admiration. As for the fanged swine skin, in her eyes, it was just a damaged pig's skin. There are a few things that I want to make. Wang Sheng began to talk about his requirements according to the equipment he had on Earth. Wang Sheng wanted a set of underwear, a hurdler's vest, and a pair of boxer briefs. The style was military style. In addition, Wang Sheng wanted a set of outerwear, which was completely in accordance with the requirements of the military camouflage uniform. Wang Sheng even took out the damaged camouflage uniform as a sample. In addition, the purpose of taking out the fanged swine skin was to help Wang Sheng make 2 pairs of military boots with the same style as what Wang Sheng was wearing. Of course, the underwear had to be soft and comfortable, while the outerwear had to be sturdy and fit. This required Master Wang to use a different method of tanning the leather. In addition, after the leather was made, it had to retain the protective effect of a 6th-degree demonic beast. The requirements were very high. The fanged swine skin was thick enough to make leather boots. Wang Sheng even made a request to Master Wang that the soles and the top of the boots should be inlaid with steel plates. Master Wang didn't say much and just nodded. But when Wang Sheng took out the camouflage uniform and his own military boots, she took a few glances and was immediately moved. She stood up directly. How was this cloth woven? Master Wang didn't care about the colorful camouflage uniform, but the material itself was enough to shock a grandmaster. She had never seen such a densely woven cloth. Even the Pavilion of Delicacy didn't have such a thing. Where did Wang Sheng find it? Chapter 149. When the perfect skin of the 6-star Night Star Wolf was taken out, Master Wang, the guru of the Pavilion of Delicacy, only praised it lightly, but that was all. The guru of the Pavilion of Delicacy had such a high standard that Wang Sheng had probably never heard of such good things. Master Wang didn't even glance at the skin of the 5-star fanged swine and just walked away indifferently. Such a person, with such high standards, actually had such a huge reaction after seeing Wang Sheng's tattered clothes. He even stood up. How is this possible? The female owner of the Bao Qing Yutang looked at this scene in astonishment and couldn't believe her eyes. The female owner had seen the camouflage suit on Wang Sheng once. Of course, she had only seen it once and had no close contact with it. Wang Sheng had never given others such a chance. In the eyes of the female owner, this set of camouflage clothes that looked neither fish nor fowl, with all sorts of colors that could not be seen as neat and tidy, was simply the daily wear of the barbarians who ate raw meat and drank blood in her mind. How good could it be? But now, Master Wang's performance made the female owner realize that she had underestimated Wang Sheng. His casual clothes could make a guru of the Pavilion of Delicacy so surprised. Needless to say, this would be another source of wealth in the future. What the female owner wanted to know was what was so magical about this thing. Master Wang, the guru of the Pavilion of Delicacy, was no longer looking at it with her eyes, but touching it inch by inch with her fingers. The depth of her affection made it seem that what she was touching was not one or two dirty camouflage suits worn in the place of thousand despair for several months, but the skin of her most beloved lover. Her fingers stroked the cloth bit by bit, even the soil on the cloth, but more often than not, she stopped at the damaged parts. This was because she could see and feel the fibers that made up the cloth from the holes that were torn open. However, what Master Wang couldn't understand was that she couldn't tell what kind of material it was. This was something that Master Wang, who was famous for his wide knowledge, couldn't understand. How could it be? Is there any material in this world that the grandmasters of the Pavilion of Delicacy have never seen? At first, she was only surprised by the weaving technique. The degree of fineness was shocking. However, Master Wang believed that as long as she was willing to pay the price of time and weave one thread after another with the tightest method, it was not impossible for her to weave such a dense cloth. It would only take a year or two. However, the materials were different. It was a material she had never seen before. It was made of fine fibers, which made it much more sturdy and comfortable than linen. If this material could be obtained in large quantities, it wouldn't need to be woven to this extent. Even if it was woven with linen, it would still bring a completely different wearing experience to the world. A grandmaster's considerations were naturally different from ordinary people's. However, the more shocked the grandmaster was, the more he was telling the female owner of Baoqing Yutang that this was another huge business opportunity. Give me these old clothes. I can help you make what you want. Master Wang eagerly stated his conditions. He didn't even hesitate to make it clear to the female owner. What we said before is invalid. I only want these things. The female owner was stunned for a moment. She had worked hard to use her connections and paid a huge price to invite Master Wang here. In the blink of an eye, it became Wang Sheng's own payment, and it had nothing to do with her. How could this be? Okay. Before the female owner could refuse or argue, Wang Sheng had already nodded and agreed. At the same time, Wang Sheng didn't forget to give the female owner a look, indicating that he wanted to negotiate other conditions. At this moment, the female owner had to agree even if she didn't want to. They were talking face to face, and she, as the middleman, could be completely kicked away. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have been so proactive at that time. She should have asked the tailor of Baoqing Yutang to understand Wang Sheng's requirements and then passed it on to Master Wang. It was not until this time that Master Wang really paid attention to Wang Sheng's requirements. She held the leather and gestured for a long time, then measured it on Wang Sheng's body for a long time. After carefully asking about Wang Sheng's requirements, she finally nodded. There are enough materials, and we can make one more pair of gloves. Master Wang calculated in his heart and gave a conclusion. According to your requirements, a full finger glove. It's close to the body, soft, and has excellent protection. No problem. There are no problems with the boots either. Wang Sheng also wanted to use the pig skin to make 2 pairs of boots. Master Wang also calculated according to Wang Sheng's current pair. However, the steel plates inlaid inside are very low grade and will increase the weight. I'll change them to hard bone materials. Do you have the teeth of a night star wolf? The smaller ones are enough. Yes. Yes. How could Wang Sheng say that he didn't have them? He had a full set of night star wolf teeth. Master Wang wanted to use the smaller ones, so Wang Sheng took out 10 teeth that were less than a foot in size. Master Wang looked at these, nodded, and kept them. She took a closer look at the shoelaces and eyelets on Wang Sheng's boots. She told Wang Sheng that she would weave the shoelaces with wolf fur, so that Wang Sheng could rest assured. Master Wang was basically in a different state after that. His mind wandered, as if he was thinking about how to make these things for Wang Sheng and what methods he should use. He didn't pay attention to what Wang Sheng and the female host were talking about. The female host sent someone to bring Master Wang out. Along the way, he looked at her with a fascinated expression. When Wang Sheng saw that, he felt a deep sense of admiration. There was definitely a reason why he could become a grandmaster. With such dedication and obsession, It would be strange if he didn't become a grandmaster. What new conditions do you want? The female host was in a bad mood. They had agreed on the conditions, but Master Wang ruined it. She couldn't even get angry. How depressing. There's no need. To her surprise, Wang Sheng, who the female host had always thought was a profiteer, showed mercy this time and didn't add more demanding conditions. So good. The female host couldn't believe her ears. Shocked, she couldn't help but ask, "If possible, help me find more information about the fate elixir." Wang Sheng glanced at her. She must have paid a great price to bring a grandmaster to him. Wang Sheng's camouflage military uniform would definitely be given to others for show. It was not worth asking for more. But the female host didn't believe him, so he could only add a little. "I knew it," the female host said angrily. She didn't feel that her question had caused extra trouble. "Try your best to find out," Wang Sheng said with a smile. "I'll buy it with gold coins." "Can the fate elixir be bought with gold coins?" The female host sneered at Wang Sheng's words and couldn't help but make a sarcastic remark. "Anyway, if I can't get the fate elixir or something similar to nourish my body, I won't go to the land of despair to die again." Wang Sheng responded with a smile and revealed something that could be used to threaten her. Chapter 150. The female owner was a smart person and understood Wang Sheng's meaning in one sentence. This was clearly to let her secretly leak the news and let those who really knew the news of the Pill of Fortune jump out to solve Wang Sheng's needs. Deal. This time, the female owner no longer hesitated and nodded in agreement. The king's army had already started to work. It was said that Baoqing Yutang had found a lot of people to help, and they were working in Carefree City. The imperial treasury sent the old imperial physician and the alchemist over, and they also brought the soul refining master and the poison master from the city lord's mansion. First, the poison master checked carefully and told Wang Sheng that the poison in his body had been completely solved and there was no need to worry. This was good news. However, the old imperial physician and the alchemist were a little pessimistic. The poison had been neutralized, and Wang Sheng's physical condition seemed to have improved a little. However, Wang Sheng's abnormal recovery speed was something that they could not understand. The result of the pulse diagnosis was even worse. Wang Sheng's body seemed to be weaker than the last time they diagnosed him. This was not the symptom they asked about from Wang Sheng's mouth, but the conclusion they got directly from the pulse. Wang Sheng's body recovered quickly, as if the essence of life was extracted from all parts of the body to heal. The faster the injury healed, the more weak Wang Sheng's body became. This pulse was not the conclusion of one person. The old imperial physician, the alchemist, and the soul refining master all thought so. Even the poison master thought so after a careful diagnosis. If they could not completely solve the problem of Wang Sheng's physical weakness, they were afraid that even if the injury was cured, Wang Sheng's body would further deteriorate. The medicinal pills they had refined for Wang Sheng before seemed to be not enough to make up for Wang Sheng's current consumption. Of course, because Wang Sheng was seriously injured, everyone thought that the injury consumed more of his primordial qi. They did not have immortal pills like the Pill of Fortune, so they could only use those simple methods to slowly supplement. After reminding Wang Sheng not to stop taking the tonics, the four of them left Wang Sheng's house. Very quickly, the news spread throughout the Carefree City. At the same time, Baoqing Yutang also heard about Wang Sheng. It was impossible for him to enter the grounds of Thousand Despair before he could find the nature pill. This news didn't come as a surprise to anyone. If Wang Sheng still wanted to force his way into the grounds of Thousand Despair, even if Wang Sheng was willing, no one would believe him. No one would dare to follow Wang Sheng and take the risk. He might not even be able to protect himself, yet he still wanted to enter and exit the lands of despair. Wang Sheng wasn't surprised by the results of the four doctors. He had split his source spirit into 1,024, reducing the strength of his source spirit by 1,000 times. It would be a joke if it didn't affect his body at all. However, this was only the surface. As long as Wang Sheng could complete the Taotai transformation, everything would be fine. Wang Sheng firmly believed in this. In the blink of an eye, another 10 days had passed. During these 10 days, Wang Sheng's injuries were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not only could he walk, but he could also do some simple recovery movements. Seeing that it was only a few days before Wang Sheng would announce the secret of his source spear enhancement, Wang Sheng seized the time to train and recover in the house. Just as he was doing muscle training, the female owner of Bao Qin Yutang and the Grandmaster Wang from the Pavilion of Delicacy came to visit him again. Here are the things you want. Grandmaster Wang still had an unfriendly look on his face. He took out a series of things and said, "Try it out. If it's suitable, I'll report back." Grandmaster Wang's face showed a kind of exhaustion that couldn't be concealed. Needless to say, he had worked without sleep for the past 10 days to complete the things that Wang Sheng had requested. These things surprised Wang Sheng. A set of underwear, singlet, and underwear were made very soft and comfortable. At first glance, Wang Sheng couldn't even tell that it was made of wolf skin. He didn't know what tanning method was used, but it actually gave off a comfortable feeling of cotton. A set of jacket and pants were also made according to Wang Sheng's request. The texture was also very unremarkable. The only difference was that the color wasn't camouflage, but a normal grayish white. The leather has been deodorized to ensure that there won't be any smell of the night star wolf. There are protective arrays inside and outside, as well as thermal insulation arrays. It will be very comfortable to wear. Grandmaster Wang introduced the items one by one. A sharp dagger appeared in Master Wang's hand. Master Wang used it to stab the clothes continuously. As he stabbed, he said, "The defense is sufficient. Attacks below the 6th-stage realm will not be able to pierce through these clothes. However, spiritual energy attacks aren't that easy to eliminate. Even if you wear it, you will need to use spiritual energy to activate the protective array. The boots have been made according to your request. The inside is embedded with the teeth of the night star wolf. It's sturdy and comfortable enough." Grandmaster Wang was very proud of his craftsmanship. When he introduced, he didn't forget to show Wang Sheng the effect of being stabbed by the dagger. "The shoelaces you mentioned are also made of wolf fur. They're sturdy enough." Wang Sheng couldn't suppress the joy on his face. Wearing this set of protective clothing with 2 layers of night star wolf skin and a liquid bulletproof vest in the middle, Wang Sheng wouldn't have to worry about being seriously injured the next time he was attacked by a 5th-degree realm expert. "It's good stuff, and the protection is not bad," Grandmaster Wang said with a straight face. "However, I still suggest that you don't wear it if you can." "Why?" Before Wang Sheng could ask, the female owner of Bao Qin Yutang asked, "If you still want to improve your cultivation, you might not be afraid of normal attacks if you wear this, but it won't be good for your cultivation." Grandmaster Wang didn't care if his words were nice or not, and directly stated the reason. He was afraid that Wang Sheng would become dependent on this protective clothing and delay his own cultivation. From this point, Grandmaster Wang could be considered as a good person. How could Wang Sheng not be satisfied? After seeing off Wang Shi in high spirits, he carefully stored all the items into his storage ring. There were many people protecting him these few days, so he didn't need to wear this. However, what made Wang Sheng feel strange was that after such a long time, the female owner of Bao Qin Yutang still hadn't found out the identity of the people who tried to assassinate him. Wasn't this a little too unreal? No matter how secretive those people were, they couldn't even find a trace of them? Very soon, the answer was revealed. Just 3 days before Wang Sheng announced the secret of raising his soul, a piece of news spread through the streets and alleys of Carefree City. Those people who tried to assassinate Wang Sheng, including the old 5th-degree realm assassin, were all death warriors secretly trained by the Dai family. No one knew what their motive was, but the whereabouts of these people before they came to Worry-Free City, where they stayed, what they bought, and so on, had all been clearly investigated and publicized. Countless people in the know were attracted by this matter. Everyone was thinking, what was the Dai family doing? Was it really because Wang Sheng killed Dai Huan that the Dai family wanted to kill Wang Sheng at all costs? Even Wang Sheng couldn't hide in Carefree City. Chapter 151. He didn't know if it was the city lord or the housekeeper who gave the order to protect Wang Sheng. These days, several masters around Wang Sheng's house were all there. Ice Li, the old shadow eunuch, had been coming over to have a drink with Wang Sheng every day since Wang Shi and the others had left. At the same time, they gave Wang Sheng some small killing skills that they knew. Wang Sheng was an expert among experts in the killing skills of hot weapons, but now it was the era of cold weapons. These two level 7 killers were definitely more experienced than Wang Sheng. Wang Xingxue was especially interested in the small application of spiritual energy, which was completely the experience that they had gained by living to this age in this kind of environment of intrigue and intrigue at the cost of their lives. The injuries on his body were basically healed. 2 days ago, the old imperial doctor and the alchemist came again. After checking his pulse for a long time, they finally found that Wang Sheng's body was no longer weak. This also meant that Wang Sheng had indeed recovered by extracting his body's spiritual energy. Now that his injuries were stable, his spiritual energy no longer continued to be consumed, and even began to show signs of improvement. The old imperial doctor and the alchemist were not ashamed at all. They directly took the credit for the elixir they gave Wang Sheng's prescription. Although the warm prescription was slow to take effect, it would only take a few years to make up for Wang Sheng's consumption. Of course, Wang Sheng would not expose it. He just maintained the illusion that he was weak, which was also a way to protect himself. Recently, Ice Li and the old shadow eunuch had a good meal. After Wang Sheng's injuries were almost stabilized, he instructed the 2 chefs of the imperial treasure house to cook according to his requirements. At first, he made the simplest hot pot. Wang Sheng wanted to try and see if he could easily visualize something that he did not make himself, but something that he made under his guidance. On that day, the novel hot pot made Ice Li and the old shadow eunuch praise it. Wang Sheng also ate comfortably. In the evening, Wang Sheng easily materialized the hot pot in his source spirit world. After discovering that it was useful to instruct others to make delicious food, Wang Sheng was happy. So Ice Li and the old shadow eunuch were even more happy. Even the housekeeper couldn't help but be attracted. Every day when it was dinner time, he would rush over and eat until his mouth was full of oil. In Wang Sheng's source spirit space, after a few days, there were more than 30 upgraded little cheese kiss, and the speed of gnawing the giant rock became faster. With a few of them holding down the fort and staying in the inner city at that, up until the day Wang Sheng was going to announce his secret, no one dared to provoke Wang Sheng. There weren't even any suspicious surveillance personnel around. The housekeeper directly borrowed a small auction house in Carefree City. It was said that it was completely soundproof, and there were a large number of experts guarding it. This small auction house was in the outer city, not far from the Assassin's Hall. It was said to be in the outer city, but it was actually on the other side of the Red Line. Wang Sheng was escorted inside by the housekeeper, Ice Li, and the old shadow eunuch. If someone really dared to make a move in front of them, it would be directly provoking the city lord. They had arrived in advance. The butler had even specially brought Wang Sheng to the small auction house that Wang Sheng was going to reveal his secret to the public. There are about 100 seats here. There are also 30 private boxes. The butler stood on the auction stage and pointed at the surroundings as he introduced the place to Wang Sheng. The people outside the private rooms would not know the identity of the people inside. Moreover, the entrance and exit were in another place. As long as one was careful, no one would be able to find out one's identity. This time, thanks to you, we sold more than 60 seats in the hall and more than 20 private rooms. The housekeeper was not afraid of Wang Sheng's heartache and directly told him the number of people who paid for the secret. The hall costs 5,000 gold per seat, and a private room that can at most 3 people costs 20,000 gold. What is sold is the signage. Anyone with the signage can enter, even if they are masked. A total of more than 900,000 gold. The housekeeper's face was like a flower. According to what you said, I made some slight changes and put all of them on the mission to buy the Pill of Fortune. Originally, Wang Sheng only wanted to buy information about the Pill of Fortune. With 30 to 50,000 gold, he could only buy information. But now that he had so much gold, it was naturally different. He directly wanted to buy the Pill of Fortune. Thank you for your hard work, brother. Wang Sheng cupped his hands and thanked the housekeeper. At the side, Ice Li and the old shadow eunuch heard this huge number. Even though they were experts and should be able to remain calm even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of them, they could not help but have a few cold glints flash in their eyes. Close to 1,000,000 gold. Even though the two old men were experts, they had never seen such a huge amount of wealth in one go. Gold could move people's hearts. With 1,000,000 gold, even they were moved. Who knew? Maybe the person who had the pill of fortune would take the initiative to jump out. However, Wang Sheng's indifference made the housekeeper secretly praise him. He also wanted to know how Wang Sheng would react if he knew he had 1,000,000 gold. If Wang Sheng directly asked for gold, then the housekeeper's impression of Wang Sheng would be greatly reduced. For an ordinary person who was not strong enough to sit on 1,000,000 gold in worry-free city was the road to death. However, Wang Sheng only lightly thanked the housekeeper and did not say a word about how he was going to deal with the gold. He was indeed a smart person. No matter how big the wealth was, as long as he did not touch it, he would not be in big trouble. He was truly a smart person. No wonder he could enter and exit the lands of despair. No fool could do that. Brother, there's something I don't understand. The housekeeper brought Wang Sheng to the resting room. After sitting down, he chatted casually. Since you had already planned to reveal your secret, why did you only reveal it after being forced to the worry-free city? If you had said it earlier, you would have avoided being hunted down. Damn it, I want to say it, Wang Sheng said gloomily. The problem is that a bunch of people attacked me as soon as they arrived. I didn't even have a chance to speak. Why didn't you ask what you wanted to know? They killed me as soon as I arrived. What could I do if I didn't run? Upon hearing this reason, the butler was stunned on the spot. The expression on his face was indescribably strange. It was as if he was trying to hold back his laughter, but did not want to. Ha ha! Finally, the housekeeper could not help but laugh. Even Ice Li and the old shadow eunuch laughed out loud. Ice Li laughed so hard that he slapped his thigh and almost couldn't straighten his back. They thought that it was Wang Sheng who wanted to keep the secret, but they did not expect that it was those who wanted to know the secret who made a fool of themselves. If you didn't even ask what you wanted to know, how would you know that the other party was not willing to say it? Now, not only did they have to spend a lot of money to buy it, so many people had died. The way those big families handled things was simply a joke. Chapter 152. The housekeeper could tell if Wang Sheng was telling the truth or not. Especially from the time Wang Sheng was chased to the time he entered Carefree City. Other than the time in the grounds of Thousand Despair, the housekeeper had investigated everything clearly. If the Song and Dai family had chased Wang Sheng because Wang Sheng had killed Dai Huan and participated in the Song family's internal struggle for power, it could be considered as reasonable. Wang Sheng being chased by the Shi family was simply a joke. In short, it was just a wastrel from the Shi family who wanted to show off his prowess in front of his lover. In the end, he had to torment Wang Sheng and was killed by Wang Sheng with a single punch. Unfortunately, the timing was just right when the peerless treasure map of the Shi family was stolen. The branch master of the Shi family wanted to extort a sum of compensation from the exquisite pavilion, so he dragged Wang Sheng into the water and started to chase after him. The other large families were even more foolish. The moment they heard that an ordinary person like Wang Sheng had become a first-degree realm expert, they immediately sent their men to chase after him without a second word. As Wang Sheng had said, they didn't even give him a chance to say a word and attacked him immediately. Only a fool would Wang Sheng not run away. Hence, it evolved into the current situation. All parties could easily spend a few thousand gold coins to find out the secret, but each party had lost at least one fifth-degree realm expert and a number of fourth- and third-degree realm experts. Don't think that the large families had a lot of assets. These losses were enough to make them die of heartache. Of course, this was also a lesson that these arrogant fellows should learn. After running amok for so long, they didn't even know how to speak and only knew how to use killing to force others. It was time for them to be taught a lesson. Han Bing Li and the shadow old eunuch would of course laugh. Each of them had a deep hatred with one or a few families. It It would be strange if they weren't happy to see these large families suffer. With this conversation, the atmosphere immediately lightened up. Everyone chatted for a while, and people started to enter the hall. Some of the large families didn't need to hide their identities. They originally wanted to know this secret and weren't afraid of others knowing, so they directly entered the hall. On the other hand, some people from small families and forces wanted to know, but they were afraid of being recognized, so they disguised themselves and entered the private room. In any case, outsiders wouldn't be able to see the identities of the people in the private rooms. Choosing a private room in the auction house was for the sake of safety. Of course, there are also a few special characters, such as the city lord of Worry-Free City, who would not appear in public so easily. Naturally, he would be seated in a private room. When almost everyone had arrived, the auction house was sealed off by the city lord's mansion's experts, and no one was allowed to enter or leave. At this time, Wang Sheng also walked to the position of the host of the auction. This time, it was just Wang Sheng announcing some secrets, so it was not part of the auction process, and there was no one serving tea. There was a dense mass of people sitting there, and all of their cultivations were not low. Before Wang Sheng said anything, everyone simultaneously released a kind of hidden aura, causing the entire auction hall to seem especially oppressive. The people in the hall were not afraid of being recognized by others, and there were many people who knew each other, but at this time, no one spoke. They were all waiting for Wang Sheng to speak. Seeing Wang Sheng appear, the people below looked at him with unkind eyes. Thinking about it, it was normal. Before Wang Sheng escaped to Worry-Free City, he had killed many people from the various large families. It would be strange if these people were still kind to Wang Sheng. They didn't like Wang Sheng, and Wang Sheng didn't like them either. So after Wang Sheng went on stage, he didn't say anything to warm up the atmosphere. He just coldly looked at everyone. When everyone's attention was focused on Wang Sheng then opened his mouth. "I'm indebted to everyone for thinking highly of me, an ordinary person with a mediocre source spirit." The moment he opened his mouth, Wang Sheng spoke in a ridiculing tone, but no one refuted him. "Thank you everyone for sitting here and listening to me." This was a mockery. The various large families didn't even give Wang Sheng a chance to speak before they came up to kill him. "My source spirit is a mediocre carp." Wang Sheng didn't care about their feelings. He just continued to speak. On this point, many people in Upper Forest City and Worry-Free City can prove it. If everyone still doesn't believe me, I can show it to everyone here. As he spoke, Wang Sheng raised a yuan mirror on the table in front of him, held it with both hands, and showed it to everyone. The yuan mirror clearly showed Wang Sheng's source spirit carp, as well as the frame, which didn't change for a long time. This was sufficient to prove that Wang Sheng's source spirit was a mediocre carp. If I said that I relied on my unyielding belief that my source spirit would definitely improve, so I advanced to the first stage, would everyone believe me? After Wang Sheng showed his source spirit, he suddenly asked everyone in a joking manner, "How could anyone believe such a ridiculous thing?" Everyone below the stage and in the private room looked at Wang Sheng. Not a single one of them played along, as if his joke wasn't funny at all. "Actually, I really want to say that I relied on my belief to advance my source spirit," Wang Sheng mentioned once again, looking at the reaction of the crowd below. The faces of the people in the hall were already showing signs of impatience, and many of them even revealed expressions of anger. If Wang Sheng wanted to rely on these few words to bluff everyone's gold coins, this was the outer city of Worry-Free City. Wang Sheng definitely wouldn't be able to leave this auction house alive. "I know that everyone doesn't believe me." Wang Sheng smiled. He had already said the truth, but he couldn't do anything if others didn't believe him. It wasn't his problem. "Even though I insist that I relied on my belief to advance, I still want to tell everyone something else." Everyone's expressions improved slightly. The other thing that Wang Sheng said should be the real key. "My source spirit was fused in an ancient forbidden area near the Song clan's Upper Forest City." Wang Sheng began to explain the origin of his source spirit, pointing at someone he knew from the Song clan, Song Laoyu. The Song clan's housekeeper over there can confirm that he was there at the time. This was nothing that couldn't be said. Song Laoyu had already received instructions from his clan to fully cooperate with Wang Sheng. Hearing this, he stood up, raised his hand, and nodded to the crowd. Many people knew Song Laoyu, knowing that he was the housekeeper of the Song clan's eldest daughter. Most of them already believed him. Actually, there were quite a few people from the Dai clan present at the time. Wang Sheng smiled, pulling the Dai clan into the conversation. Even though I killed many of them, including Dai Huan, a few people from the Dai clan escaped. One of them is a soul refiner, and I believe that he is still alive. If you don't believe me, you can ask that soul refiner. My source spirit was actually nurtured by a certain ancestor of the Song clan. When Wang Sheng spoke again, everyone was completely attracted to him. This matter was related to the Song clan's ancestor. Chapter 153. To be exact, this source soul of mine is only a part of a batch of source souls. Wang Sheng began to explain what had happened back then in full. Of course, he did not elaborate on the matter of him falling from the sky. He only said that he happened to encounter a carp source spirit in the lake, and his blood caused the remaining source spirits to swallow each other. After this series of events, the people in the auction house already understood half of it. Wang Sheng's source spirit was only one of a group of source spirits that could swallow each other. This group of source spirits was cultivated by a certain ancestor of the Song family using some kind of secret method, so they could swallow each other to level up. Even the Song family did not think that the source spirit cultivation was successful, so they had already given up on the forbidden area. But Dai Huan coveted Song Yan's beauty and accidentally stumbled into this forbidden area. Then Wang Sheng's blood triggered the effect of the source spirit swallowing, so everything happened afterwards. The Dai family stole a 9-star source spirit from the Song family that could swallow other source spirits to level up. After Wang Sheng said this, he apologized to Old Fish Song. "I'm sorry, Old Fish Uncle. I had no other choice. If I didn't say it, I would have lost my life." This was the Song family secret. If a large family had such an important thing stolen, they would not be able to say it. Wang Sheng revealed it on the spot. Everyone finally understood why the Song family and the Dai family almost fought. It was because of this origin, a 9-star source spirit that could swallow other source spirits to level up. Now who cared about the Song family and the Dai family's reason for fighting? Fight or not, everyone was attracted by this 9-star source spirit. A 9-star source spirit that could level up. What kind of concept was that? Soon someone reacted. What kind of method did the Song family use to cultivate it? How did they do it? These all needed to be further understood. Don't look at me. I'm not a member of the Song family. I don't know what method the Song family's ancestor used to cultivate it. Seeing everyone's burning eyes focused on Wang Sheng directly denied it. I just absorbed a carp source spirit. Not to mention what everyone was thinking at the moment. The housekeeper brother clearly understood why Wang Sheng asked him to collect all kinds of source spirit cultivation methods from hundreds of years ago. So that was how it was. However, although this essence soul carp of mine is only a remnant soul, it is also the weakest among them. Wang Sheng then opened his mouth and pulled everyone's attention back. However, after I tried my best to repair the remnant soul, it could be considered a normal soul. No one objected to this point. The remnant soul was not incurable. As long as one ate a lot of foundation-enhancing pills, the remnant soul could be repaired. As for my source spirit carp, I'm not sure if it can level up by swallowing source spirits. Wang Sheng opened his mouth again, because it has never shown this kind of characteristic before. But, as soon as Wang Sheng said, "But," everyone held their breath for fear of missing a single word from Wang Sheng. Since it is the same batch of source spirits that can level up, then whether my source spirit level up is because of the same reason, I don't dare to deny it. Wang Sheng completely attributed the reason to this, but he strongly denied it. Wang Sheng felt that what he said was the truth. It was really not because of this, but because of his own belief, his own confidence level up. However, no one in the hall would believe Wang Sheng's previous nonsense. On the contrary, the reason that Wang Sheng said later was the most likely. Of course, everything needs to be verified. I can't guarantee it. Wang Sheng strongly denied it anyway, no matter what others thought had nothing to do with him. But it is true that the Song family lost a 9-star source spirit because of this. This needs everyone to go to the Song family to verify it. In any case, Wang Sheng didn't say anything definite. Everything he did was to lure everyone to the Dai family. As for whether the Dai family hated Wang Sheng or not, it was not important. Could it be that if Wang Sheng did not say it, the Dai family would not hate Wang Sheng? I was seriously injured by an assassin, and my body is still a little uncomfortable. I'm sorry. I'll go back to recuperate first. In the end, Wang Sheng did not forget to use his body's injury to leave early. Wang Sheng had indeed left, but his final words served as a reminder to everyone. How did Wang Sheng get seriously injured? He was assassinated in the street. Who assassinated him in the street? There was news a few days ago that it was the Dai family's death warrior. Why did the Dai family's death warrior assassinate Wang Sheng in the street? No one knew the reason. However, when Wang Sheng said all this after talking about the origin soul, everyone instantly figured it out. The Dai family found out the secret of the 9-star source spirit, but they did not want Wang Sheng to say it, so they wanted to kill him before Wang Sheng spoke. With this kind of logic, it was a flawless analysis. Not only did it explain why Wang Sheng's mediocre source spirit could be upgraded, it also explained why Wang Sheng was assassinated in the street. It really was a complete chain of clues. The entire auction house immediately fell into chaos. There were some impatient people that were already shouting at the Song and Dai family representatives on the spot. What Wang Sheng said is completely true. Song Laoyu asked her family's elder for a simple explanation before standing up and endorsing Wang Sheng. I was present at that time, and a young miss was also present. The Dai family indeed stole our Song family's 9-star source spirit. Once these words came out, the crowd went into an uproar. Countless people wanted to know what method the Song family's old ancestor used to cultivate a source spirit that could be swallowed to upgrade. But even more people want to know if the 9-star source spirit could really be upgraded. The fight between the Song and Dai families was not fake. Since it had already happened, there was no meaning in denying it. Before, no one knew the reason, but now that the reason was clear, everyone's eyes were like wild wolves staring at the Song and Dai families. The old ancestors' method of cultivating a source spirit. Our Song family has been investigating it for a long time. Song Laoyu felt that this matter was not big enough, so she continued to add fuel to the fire. Finally, the heavens took pity on us. In the notes left behind by the old ancestor, we found some clues. Once Song Laoyu's words came out, even the Dai family members that were glaring at Song Laoyu stopped what they were doing, waiting for Song Laoyu to say the answer. The old ancestor came up with this idea when he was researching with 2 friends from the Shi family and Xiu family. At that time, the old ancestor tried it, but it didn't succeed. Song Laoyu did not disappoint everyone and said what everyone wanted to hear. Other than that, there were also friends from the Xia family and the Gan family that discussed it with the old ancestor. The names of the old ancestors of these families were also announced by Song Laoyu. If there was pressure, then it was impossible for the Song family to shoulder it. It was better to drag everyone down with him. At that time, each family's old ancestor tried it, but we don't know if they succeeded or not. Song Laoyu happily looked at everyone in chaos. Actually, we thought it was useless, and this forbidden area was about to be removed. As for the specific source spirit, we have to ask the Dai family. They had the most right to speak, and they could also ask some information from their mouths. Some people even remembered that the City Lord's mansion also had a detoxification expert who had treated Wang Sheng. It was inevitable that some people would pay a visit to the City Lord's mansion. Very quickly, everyone on the scene disappeared. After everyone had left, the butler quietly went to a private room and knocked on the door. He waited for the person inside to answer before he carefully opened the door and entered. What do you think? The person in the private room was none other than the City Lord of Worry-Free City. At this moment, He was facing the stage where Wang Sheng was standing, and the butler could only see his back. There's an 80% chance that's the reason. The butler didn't dare to be negligent and hurriedly answered. Previously, he said that he improved by relying on confidence and conviction. How high do you think the possibility is? The city lord asked again. The figure sitting on the chair was very calm. I can't rule out that possibility, but the possibility is too low. The butler answered truthfully. He answered what he thought. In front of the city lord, he would not talk nonsense. But the matter of upgrading the spirit essence should be true. The Song family put down their face this time and directly admitted it. The previous actions of the Dai family also show that they do know something. Investigate. The city lord only said one word. The butler acted as if he had received an imperial edict and hurriedly agreed. After agreeing, the butler went on to report. My lord, before Wang Sheng asked this subordinate to collect information on the cultivation of the spirit essence from hundreds of years ago. This subordinate has already collected a part of it. It is in the study room of my lord. And the city lord gave a satisfied word and did not say anything more. However, the butler was very happy. He did not tell the city lord about this before because he wanted to give him a surprise at this time. That in sound, the butler heard it very clearly. After following the city lord for many years, the city lord only spoke in this tone when he was happy. Wang Sheng got away. At least on this matter, he could get himself out of it. Who asked the Dai family to snatch away the spirit essence? It was indeed a spirit essence that could be upgraded. On this matter, the Dai family would definitely be the scapegoat, and they would not be able to shake it off. Regarding the secret of upgrading the spirit essence, Wang Sheng had indeed announced it, but it was only limited to those people in the auction house. It was impossible for the ordinary people outside to know about it. Very soon, the higher-ups of the various families would know about it, and the Dai family would also face a huge wave of trouble. On the contrary, Wang Sheng would be able to relax and busy himself with his own matters. The most important task was to complete the Taotai transformation as soon as possible. After completing the Taotai transformation, Wang Sheng would be in the second stage realm. At that time, even if everyone found out that Wang Sheng's cultivation had increased again, they would not make a fuss. Wang Sheng had already said that it was a spirit essence that could be upgraded. These few days, the city lord's residence would definitely be in a turbulent situation with a lot of matters. After a few days, Wang Sheng would ask the housekeeper to look through the ancient spirit essence cultivation methods that he had collected. As for the reason, it was definitely to look for something related to himself, as well as the possible path of upgrading in the future. But the hidden purpose was to find records related to the phoenix spirit from these materials. After being in this world for so long, other than the bit of information that Song Yan had revealed that the phoenix spirit was a taboo, Wang Sheng did not have any information about the girl in his dreams. Taking this opportunity, he could also slightly investigate. Asking Bao Qing Yutang to collect information was also for the same purpose. Especially when Wang Sheng requested for each high-level spirit essence to have a representative, it was to find information related to the phoenix spirit. A spirit that could become a taboo, it should not be a low-level spirit essence, right? Wang Sheng did not believe it. Even if it was a taboo, could it be that there was no record at all? Not even the slightest clue. In any case, Wang Sheng had to find the news of the girl in his dreams. That night, when Wang Sheng was instructing the two chefs of the imperial treasury to cook, the housekeeper elder brother took a cheerful step, almost skipping into Wang Sheng's house. His face was full of smiles, as if he had encountered something happy. I have good news for you. When the housekeeper elder brother saw Wang Sheng, he smiled and squinted his eyes. The two people from the Dai family were assassinated on the street not long after they left the auction house. Just now the exact news came. They died from serious injuries. Happy, daring to send death soldiers to Carefree City, and still thinking of leaving alive, do you really think that my Carefree City can come and go as you please? Humph. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.